Hello.
To those guys.
Hello. Welcome to the Saladcast on Thursday, 16th of September, 2010.
13 forwards.
Okay, I'm trying not. As you can tell, we are, for the first time ever, all in one room. In fact...
Well, not the first time we've all been in the same room ever.
No, the first time recording this podcast. So I'm going to christen it the all-in-one-room podcast of Doom. There we go.
The Doom Room.
The room of Doom.
Indeed. What was the Room of Doom?
Well, the Room of Doom was... actually, which way round were they? There was this level in Quake 3, wasn't there? Where one room was the Doom Room, and the one on the other side of it was the Room of Doom.
But it was identical, because it mirrored, wasn't it? Because it was a symmetrical level. It was... What was that one called?
But it just had a statue of Doom in it, didn't it? The guy who was called Doom.
Yes, it did have a statue of Doom in it.
Which
Is
is
that
why it's the Doom Room.
Is that the Marine from Doom? Or
yes.
whatever? Okay.
Who happened to just be called Doom in the game.
Oh, right.
Doom.
Doom.
It wasn't Doom, he was Doom.
What about Phobos? Wasn't that... Phobos. Wasn't that another reskin of the Doom character?
Pretty much, except it was orange and slightly fucked in the visor.
Oh, yeah. Was there a story
That's a
behind
technical
that?
term for visor shimmer.
Fucked in the visor. Lovely. Yes. That was the Doom.
Well, we hijacked that intro very well there.
Well, it was because there were two ends on that level, wasn't there? There was like the railgun room at one end, and then the jump over to the rocket launcher at the other side, over the lava, and in between was the Rooms of Doom.
Yes.
No, the Doom Room and the Room of Doom. Yeah.
They were the connecting zones.
You can't talk while you're leaning forwards. That's going to be a problem as well for typing the...
Yeah, we're all crowding around this condenser microphone, and previously referred to as the compression microphone, but
incorrectly.
It's all good. So hopefully we've done some sound tests, so hopefully everything should sound good. But
if they don't, fuck it, you'll get stuck with this anyway.
Did I ever tell you guys that I was watching Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? Is it? And where the one with the map, the Marauders map, and labelled on the Marauders map somewhere in Hogwarts is the Room of Doom.
Awesome.
In that film.
That seems like that's just standard, you know.
Yeah,
that's just standard from Genki castles or whatever. There's always a Room of Doom.
It
somewhere.
had no entrance or exit according to the map that I could tell.
Well, naturally.
Theoretically, there'd be fairly normal rooms on there as well. You know, like presumably they have bathroom and classroom and dragon room. You know, the things we all have.
Yeah.
And then the only room that's not on there is the Room of Requirement, isn't it? Because that doesn't appear on the map, does it? I presume. Because that's only there if you need it. If you desperately need to pee.
Yeah, but surely there must be a fixed place for the Room of Requirement to appear, only if you need it. So, because they always know where to go to find the Room of Requirement.
It must have a fixed location, yeah.
Yeah, therefore it has a location, it's just the door is a bit funny.
Is that true?
Someone should really look
into it.
It doesn't have a fixed location? Because they do all meet at it, don't they? Like, they go to those DA meetings.
For some reason I heard...
you thought they were throwing meat at it.
You know me too well.
Well, since it's a Room of Requirement, it probably turned itself into a kind of meat gallery for throwing.
That's the problem where I turn verbs into something else, like the word meet, not to meet someone, just to meet.
To meet. Oh dear. What would it mean to actually to meet someone? It would be to give someone or jib. That's the point. How is that supposed to be pronounced?
I think it's supposed to be jib, but it sounds shit.
As in giblets.
Yeah.
We talk about when you blow up a enemy character, fleshy character in a computer game, like in Quake with a rocket launcher, and they explode into chunks of
meat,
flesh and meat. Yeah,
chunky gibs.
Gibs, yeah, we call them gibs, but I don't know if it's supposed to be jibs.
Or as they were
there were other references to them being pronounced as gibs, weren't there? People I've talked to pronounce it as jib, but there was those mods with sound effects that actually said gib.
Oh, what was that called? That mod for Quake 1?
Mod for Quake 1 called Killer 90 that added the severed head as a weapon, which you've chucked into the air with an impulse command, and then when it found an enemy to home onto, played give.
Oh, was so cool. And it had the Morning Star weapon and stuff.
Yes.
And what did you have to type to get all the weapons?
Impulse 9.
Impulse 9, yeah.
And as I noted the other day when I was looking into writing scripts for Team Fortress 2, for some reason, one of the commands in I don't know, the source engine, I guess, is still an impulse command. It's like to put your spray up is like Impulse 2 something.
Yeah.
Just that one random command.
They must have ported that over because Quake obviously was... Half-Life was built on the Quake engine, but obviously TF2 is its source, so presumably they just stuck that back in for like old time's sake.
I wonder if there's probably more in Counter-Strike that have impulses.
Yeah.
Older source engine games.
Well, yeah, obviously the original Counter-Strike based on Half-Life probably had tons of old Quake codes in its console. Dunno.
Like, make more brown. They must have had that in the original Quake. So just because there's no reason.
They don't need a brown filter in the original Quake. It was already brown enough.
This is what I mean. In order to make it that brown, they must have had some sort of modifier to sort of like. It was more brown than you can possibly imagine.
It's like if they'd had the UI capabilities at the time, it probably would have been like a slider in a menu where it's like other like gamma or whatever. You've got brownness.
Brownness. Yes. Yeah. There was the. Well, it wasn't even a sort of like actually sort of decrepit looking brown, was it? It was a bit too rich and pooey.
Well, it was meant to be like hell or whatever.
Yeah, so they were poo bricks.
The water texture always looked hilarious, or lava, because it like moved in this like crazy pattern at all times, didn't it?
And it was like a morphing pattern, so it always ended up where it was. If you ended up watching it for a while, it's like this, you saw the bits of texture just always come back to the same spot.
And you couldn't see through the water, obviously, but it made it quite... Because it was like green, wasn't it, the water? Yes. Most of the water. I say water, it was like sludge, really, or that. And then you sort of swam down to get the... it's usually a key or something. It was one of those get the key to unlock the door games, like the old-time games, but it was like this brand new 3D, and that was all cool and new, and yet their game design was like, find the blue key to unlock the blue door.
Was Quake really like that? I thought it
had keys.
Did it have keys?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought it just had lots of buttons.
It did have buttons, yeah, that's true.
And random bits of wall that you had to shoot. But like, how would you know that?
To unleash a shambler or something.
Yeah, as soon as you did anything in that game, it just basically meant more enemies around the corner.
Yes.
Or, oh no, enemy on my face. That's fine. Even Serious Sam was slightly more relaxed than Quake in places. It just sort of dumps enemies on your face. And like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about that lot. Now that I know that they're coming, I'll reload and do it again and not be in that place.
It did have a cool difficulty select there, Quake.
Yeah, with the rooms.
Yeah.
You could select your doom. Maybe they were called the doom rooms.
Well, it was selecting your difficulty by how difficult it was to get to the start of the
nightmare
game.
The nightmare mode you had to was like a hidden section of the level, wasn't it? You had to like climb up inside the rafters to actually get to the portal that took you into the nightmare mode.
Yeah.
Maybe every game... Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, that you had to fall in a certain spot to land on a walkway to get to the lava door.
That was right. That was cool. Quake. Shareware. What happened to shareware? I suppose the internet happened to shareware, didn't it? Is anything still shareware? It's like Dwarf Fortress or something. Shareware.
No, they're free. They're free with donation. Is usually the route now. I suppose it's free public GNU licenses or whatever.
That's the model now, isn't it?
Yeah.
When did shareware die? Because Quake was 96 or something, wasn't it? So
was Quake really shareware?
Yeah, Quake 1 was shareware. You got the whole first section. There were like 4, what were they called, episodes?
Yeah.
And you got the whole thing for free, and then, I'm pretty sure it was shareware. It wasn't a demo that you could get on discs, it was like Quake, and you just had to unlock. I think there was a lot of shareware.
You did have
at the
to
time.
download, the full version was bigger than the...
Yeah.
You did have to download more, or, not download,
but get the disc, yeah. And you had the disc for the original Quake, didn't you?
I did.
And,
I was a good little underage game buyer.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have been buying games like that at the time.
I was 18 rated and I was about 12, I don't know, I can't remember. But...
Yeah, well, I bought Grand Theft Auto when it came out. And that was obviously...
Wait, did you actually buy that?
I bought it from HMV in Ipswich. Ah. And they at the time, I don't think the staff understood that games could be rated by the BBFC. So they saw a kid come to the counter with one of those boxes off the shelf, because it was in a big PC Games box. I want this game. And it doesn't look that bad on the front cover of the original GTA, because it's just a shot of a police car in a city, isn't it? Like a fish angle lens,
Yeah.
fish eye lens, and just says Grand Theft Auto.
And the DMA logo or whatever is that little coloured bloke.
Yeah,
that looks friendly
from Lemmings or whatever. And it's like, that's friendly. And also, like, you might not even know what Grand Theft Auto means if that game has never come out and you're English. You might not know that it means stealing cars. So yeah.
Although theft might give it away a bit.
That's true, but it might be about stopping the criminals, mightn't it? You know, it might be like Chase HQ or something, for all you know. If they're selling it. So yeah, but it did have it was like the first game to have a big 18 certificate, like the ones that you find on movies in Britain.
I can't remember if Quake 1 was 18 rated. It might have been 15 actually. But...
Yeah. I don't know.
Which maybe I would have been 12 then when I picked it up, because I wasn't old enough to own it. I know that much.
Well, a few years later, I tried to buy Quake 3 from Electronics Boutique at Ipswich, and they wouldn't let me buy it, even though the 15 rating on it wasn't a proper one. It was a Elspa one or whatever.
Oh, right.
And they still wouldn't let me buy it, and I was like, I was actually 15. It was like, oh well, I'm making up for the Grand Theft Auto thing, I suppose. But even so,
karma.
Because my godmother tells like a story that apparently I showed her Grand Theft Auto because I was really excited by the game and stuff, and I was playing it, but I was reading because it had all the text. There was no voice or whatever, or it had text like, oh, you've got to get the drugs, or it said get the shit, and I was like editing it for her, so I was reading it for her, but I was like obscuring all the drug references and stuff which she could see on the screen. It was really funny.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Oh.
He's shielding the adults from the cruel child world of drugs and murder.
Yeah, but it's so cartoon, the original Grand Theft Auto.
Kill frenzies.
Yeah, kill frenzies. You'd never have kill frenzies in GTA 4, would you? It just wouldn't. They dropped them after. I mean, they were in Vice City, weren't they? Which is quite surprising.
Rampage. Except they still didn't say it, did they? Just sort of made us
just said Rampage.
Boink.
Are they in Chinatown Wars though?
I don't know.
I haven't played that.
No.
So probably. That's on quite. You can get that for the iPhone. Apparently, it's quite good. Yeah. It's like a port or whatever.
Well,
but it's probably like 10 quid or something, you know, which is quite a lot cheaper than DS games, which are like 35.
But DS games are like proper games.
Yeah, but it is a DS game. It's the same game.
It's a port of a DS game, though.
That's true. And it's the same with Civ Rev. Like, that was free for like a week when we got it, Civilization Revolution.
Thanks to the good fellows at Free App a Day.
Is that how we found it out? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you found it out, because you're the one that told me, but I noticed on the post it said, courtesy of FAD. And I was like, what the hell does FAD mean? And it turns out it means Free App a Day. So there's a Free App a Day app, which you can download.
Oh, it's an app.
And there's an app for that, yeah. And it will tell you which apps are free today, which aren't normally free, except for the occasional one that is always free, and they just, telling you, because it's free!
And they're promoting it.
A day.
I don't know.
Free.
It seems like if I wanted to go and buy a brand new copy of Zelda Spirit Tracks, I'm really put off by it being 35 quid. It was like 25.
That's because you're worried it's not good enough.
No, I'm not.
35
no,
quid.
I'm sure it's good. It's just it's a mobile game. I think this App Store business of games costing £1.79 might have an effect on people like Nintendo.
They're yet to really make any games that are of epic size, aren't they? The ones that are
it's true.
Big are still come up around, like the Assassin's Creed game or whatever, still about £7, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I'm thinking, I don't know, in terms of value, like Plants vs. Zombies, that must have been about $3.50 or something. And that's quite long. But they're making that for DS now, apparently, with added content. But they'll charge $35 for that when that comes out.
I was about to say, because Plants vs. Zombies has that been out on Xbox for a while? Because having noticed the thing on...
No, it's new on Xbox Live Arcade, I think. Yeah, it's PC, obviously, and then iPhone later. So, because I got it when it came out on iPhone, and that was after Peggle. So, and yeah, they're porting it to DS.
Woo! And with that woo, shall we vaguely move back onto the initial topic of like why we're all here, like why you can hear typing?
Oh, it turns out Dan wasn't in Scotland.
Yeah. Well, I was with my granddad, so that was all.
We got that bit right.
Got that part right. Yeah, I was in where the hell was I? I was in Winchester.
You might as well have been in Scotland.
Oh, the Cotswolds. That's the place. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, as Zach pointed out, it's sort of possibly an anagram of Scotland. If you could make Scotwold,
Cotswolds and Scotland.
Scotwold, or Scotload.
Genius.
Musical interlude.
Courtesy of Rob's girlfriend Naomi,
Opening her laptop.
who casually snuck in here. I don't know.
I forgot that she left the radio on her laptop.
That's fine. It's no trouble.
This is the problem with not having a proper studio and assuming
Or alternatively, choosing to just do this in the living room instead of one of the other empty rooms of your house.
Yeah, but what other rooms in my house have chairs?
No, that is the problem.
This is the closest we're going to get comfortably to the microphone, I think.
We'll introduce Naomi later for embarrassment bonuses.
As if this wasn't bad enough.
As if her very first bit of contribution to the podcast was to introduce some music which we won't be able to license or figure out what it was. Or anything.
We'll have to bleep it.
Yeah.
Don't be silly. It was like 2 seconds of like garbled nonsense.
It's like if it's less than 30 seconds, it's okay, isn't it?
Is that true?
That's something of the rule or something in music.
Don't know.
They've got this thing on YouTube where you can it's got an automatic service, doesn't it, when you upload a video to like replace whatever music is on there with public domain music that they own or whatever. So if you need music to go over your video to fill in some audio, because you can just automatically pipe it in.
Oi, YouTube, give me some music.
Yeah, it'll do that. Yeah.
So basically, all this public domain music is basically going to be elevator tunes.
Probably. I don't know. I haven't actually tried it.
Terrible hold music. I got. We were having this conversation in Amsterdam, and the music they sometimes play in the hotel bar is the same music that they use on the Xbox Live customer services hold.
How did you recognise it?
I've been on Xbox Live customer services enough to know what the fucking music is.
How many times have you red ringed?
5 or 6.
5 or 6. We don't even know anymore.
No, I've lost count. It's been back to. I know it's been back to the shop one more time than it should have been because of that one time they sent it back broken. But we've talked about this before.
Yes.
And we've just gone off shopping again. Back to the Cotswolds. As we were
you want to know? I had to.
Tell us about this mysterious land we know nothing about and get confused for Scotland.
Well, it was actually hillier than I expected, so it was more like Scotland. I was basically over this place called Cleve Hill, between Cheltenham and where my granddad was, which is actually quite a big hill. Surprising for the middle of England, really. I don't know, but not quite Scottish.
Was there another large hill next to it? So there was Cleve Hill and Cleveland or something. And then in the middle, was there a street called Cleavage?
Cleavage, yeah. Well, I presume it was something to do with the cleave as a word, probably meant the valley, probably. That's probably where the word cleavage comes from.
But
I guess so.
It's a technical term in, geology. The cleavage of rock is how it breaks.
Bum rocks.
Oh, but you were thinking... I like how you think automatically of, the bum kind of cleavage first over the other more conspicuous kind.
I don't know, I think a rock is more likely to look like an arse than it is to look like an excellent pair of boobies.
That's probably true.
Okay.
So, yeah, the town is surrounded by a few different
breasts.
hills. What the fuck are you talking about?
Like some kind of rock boob. It's sedimentary breasts or igneous boobs.
Metamorphic.
Yeah, metamorphic boobs with the power to transform into the other kind of cleavage.
I'm sorry, into the other kind?
That's why they're metamorphic.
Chest butt.
What the hell?
I think we've lost Dan in the land of... In the crevice.
Crevice,
He's escaped from the cleavage, apparently. In the Cotswolds.
Yes,
Cotswold
I have.
cleavage.
I have managed to return. Although I still haven't had access to my Xbox, etc. So I still haven't managed to play very many games. Because I did go back up home for a couple of days or something. Basically, the reason I had to go to my granddad's is because my dad's not feeling very well. So he had to borrow my bed, basically. So I'm now, so that he can keep borrowing my bed, I've come to visit Rob down here in Suffolk.
Hello.
I'm staying.
This is Rob to your left.
Yes. To my left, which you won't be able to tell on the stereo field. Because this is all mono this time around. Because we're all from one microphone.
I wonder if we could get 2 microphones and record it at the same time. I wonder if like cheap PC technology will allow that.
But you could use your classic plan of having like 3 computers on, each recording on a different mic.
Well, yeah, I did contemplate that. If I couldn't acquire the condenser mic, I have to be careful how I say that every time because I've been incorrectly calling it a compression mic for 6 months. And if I would like to, if I didn't have that, we could all use a headset each and a machine each to theoretically record in different locations in the house. It'd be dumb.
Well, what you really need is a proper like radio where you have like an audio interface, and then everyone has a pair of earphones so they can hear themselves and everyone else, like in a radio studio. Yeah, and each have their own microphone, ideally, or maybe 2 sharing a condenser in
in a 2-directional way, like me and Rob did it before.
Yeah.
The 2-directional setting.
On box files.
So anyway, computer games. That's what this podcast is about, actually.
Believe
it or not.
We just about managed to explain why you're here, just about.
Yes, so I'm here, and next time I will be back and I'll have all my stuff, as I've said about 15 times.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to play some games and talk about them. First among which will probably be Halo Reach, or it might be Civ 5. I don't know. We really don't know. They're all coming out, so exciting times to come.
Yeah, not on this podcast.
But for now, shall I start asking the question? Yes.
We didn't do introductions because we got distracted, but I guess that doesn't matter at this point.
Didn't we? I usually do that.
No, we didn't. We pretty much jumped straight into... You said, hello, this is the podcast, this is the date.
And then
here are my cohorts. Interruption.
Yeah. Well, you started talking before I'd even finished saying the date, so I got. Yes. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Joining you today, choking.
Dan, I'm your host, Dan Train. This is Robert Kemp, Zachary Burgess, and Naomi James.
Oh, what? We're live?
I just think you started recording.
Yes. To be honest, this hasn't been much different to our conversation in general over the past couple of days.
That's how it's going to be with an all-in-one room recording. It's going to be a lot more like normal conversation.
I'll better get a beer then. Beer? Anyone?
Because every time we have a podcast, you have a beer.
It's pretty much the rule. Except today, where I've got summer fruit squash.
Summer fruit squash for everyone. And,
we now have deaf waitresses. That's awesome.
Deaf waitresses?
Because deaf waitresses would
mute.
Well, deaf people tend to be mute as well.
Sometimes.
I was thinking about that word, mute. Is that like... Because we use that, like, to mute things, is to cut the sound to things, but people who are mute are, like, disabled, so isn't that a bit...
it is mute, basically, like... Disabled racism, whatever the word is for that.
Disabledist.
Prejudice in some form, anyway. Discrimination.
Oh, now Rob does have a beer.
I do indeed have a beer.
Pour it into the summer fruits.
I'm not gonna... I wonder if that would work. No, that probably wouldn't work.
You were tempted.
If it was a beer and black, that might work. But...
A what?
A beer and black. It's like you have beer and blackcurrant.
Yeah, but that's called a snake bite, isn't it?
Well, no, you need like cider, I think, and other stuff to make a snake bite.
Oh,
it's not
true,
just beer. Oh, okay, just beer, cider, and blackcurrant, I'm told.
But not just beer. Beer and black isn't snake bite, isn't it? It's just, you have to combine the two.
Enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, and the other thing I wanted to mention is that Dan picked me up on this. I don't condone piracy. And,
don't not.
And we don't endorse it either. Not one or the other. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so. What he said was deliberately confusing. I'm saying he pointed to that, which you won't be able to hear. But yes.
And we've just sort of... Was that like... That was the apologies column?
Yeah,
we fucked up.
Because, last week you corrected me on saying I said I don't condone piracy. And you said, no, that's not right. Surely you mean you don't endorse piracy? Oh, no, yes, sorry. We condone piracy.
Yeah.
I don't think you said that, though, did you?
Yeah, he didn't quite go as far as that, essentially saying he condones piracy. But
So we really just said the same thing twice.
Yeah, just in case people got very confused.
I
And,
think-
and I've gone out and downloaded everything off the backs of our...
Just in case some grammar Nazis on the internet want to complain.
yeah, that's more likely, I think.
Although it's not really grammar, I guess.
It's just, well,
Thesaurus Nazis.
I think the problem is people getting confused between the word condone and the word condemn, because they have almost the same letters.
Condone.
Condone.
Condone. we condone piracy. There you go.
The word's a condom. It's like a mysteriously...
It's a dome that doesn't actually exist because it's a con.
It's a con, yeah.
Either that or it's a massive sterilisation dome. That when once you're inside...
I knew you were going to end up going to that definition.
Condom. Of course.
Moving on.
Condomiums.
Condominiums. So we'll explain that one.
That's a story in itself.
That's because we didn't understand what a condominium was in SimCity 2000.
And because we can't read words, apparently.
Yeah, even though it's clearly spelled out, condominium.
Well, I've done that, several times since then.
Yes, I know.
You know the Terry Pratchett books, like Discworld?
Yeah,
The main character, the wizard guy,
yeah,
he's called Rincewind.
right.
But for so long as I read those books, I just read Ricewind. It's like I missed that out totally. And then, in one of the stories, someone was spelling out the pronunciation. I was like, "What? Oh shit!"
Oh, shit. Because you still say Calvin and Hobbes, don't you?
Because that's clearly better.
Than Hobbes, but Hobbes was a philosopher, wasn't he? Because so was Calvin.
Yeah.
Unless he was Greek or something and was actually Hobbes.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't Greek. I think it was German or something.
Oh.
Because
Hobbes.
Because that's not a very Greek sounding name.
Yeah, Hobbes.
Yeah. But, yeah, Calvin and Hobbes for years and years.
That was clearly superior.
Oh, dear.
I'm sure there were some other words we used to get horribly wrong by just missing a few letters and saying it stupidly. Like most of America. But,
You just had to get your regularly scheduled racism in there.
It's not racism, it's...
Countryism.
Xenophobia.
Oh yeah, that's the word, wasn't it?
It's not really phobia, though. It's not that you're
It's
afraid
not
of
I'm afraid of
Americans,
Americans, no. They just got a few things wrong.
You just condoned them. Oh no, wait.
I don't condemn them either. I'm apathetic to the Americans, except for their grammar. Aluminum, bitches.
That's not grammar.
That's not grammar. The pronunciation of the word, isn't it? Really?
No, it's actually a whole spelling and shit like that. They actually spell aluminum.
Oh, they spell it wrong, yeah. They miss out the I, don't
And
they?
colour. Okay, admittedly they still say colour, but, that's lazy.
Colour's really annoying because if you're working with CSS, cascading style sheets, then you have to type colour all the time. Wrong. Because, of course, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have bits of code where I've written classes that end in colour and I've written it in the English spelling, so now I've confused myself when I'm switching
swatching.
between my code and library code, because library code is more likely to be American.
Yeah, library code.
You just have to write another bit of code that goes through your code and replaces it.
Yeah.
The use.
Find, replace, Americanize.
We should just have an Englishifier for all the standard libraries.
Well, we're playing... Actually, I'm going to try and steer this back on topic slightly.
Oh my
Good
god.
luck.
We were playing Uncharted 2 earlier because Dan hadn't yet seen it yet. So
No.
I was giving him a demonstration.
pretty.
And there was that one moment where the subtitles decided to Americanize the English person. Well, one of the English characters. Where Chloe says arses. And yet the subtitles found it necessary to say asses.
I think it's alright. Because
It's not correct.
at least she actually said asses instead of forcibly saying. Because probably said asses in the script, and that's probably what they copied down for the subtitles. Whereas
Probably.
her performance, she was like, no, I'm British, I'm going to say arse.
It's like most Brits don't say ass, except me, because, there's something funny about the ah sound. It's like the occasional, when I talk about grass, I'll occasionally just refer to it as grass, because it sounds better. Or not better.
Or northern.
Weirder.
It sounds northern, yeah.
Grass, or bat, or lever, yeah. Gnome's just picked up that I say lever rather than lever.
You what?
Leather.
Oh, leather. Oh, that is American.
And I got caught saying sidewalk the other day.
Oh my god.
It's like, where the fuck did that come from? I don't actually sort of have any exposure to the word sidewalk, I don't think.
You played Grand Theft Auto, didn't you?
When did they talk about the
How long ago was
sidewalk
that?
in Grand Theft Auto?
Any of the Grand Theft Auto games, they probably get to say sidewalk at some point. They're driving cars around a lot, and maybe, running people over.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was like some of the cop radios. It's like, dude was shot on sidewalk. Because that's how...
Because that's a very specific location.
Dude was shot on side.
These are very relaxed cops. Dude.
Well,
so that's not even their description of the person who got shot. That's just them saying, "Dude,
shot on sidewalk."
But they were all developed in Scotland, so
dude,
it's kind of ironic, really, isn't it?
Someone was shot on the sidewalk. Dude.
That nearly worked.
Was that supposed to be Scottish?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, sorry. Just for clarification there.
Eh.
It's like a Scottish person saying "I" in German.
It's a Jewish Scot. German.
Jewish.
Oi, because they talk oi,
Oi.
ich, and have in every word.
Okay, back to the racism.
What the hell? Okay. Zach, what have you been playing this week?
You weren't going to ask Rob after all.
No, I've decided against it.
Well,
He's kicking in fast.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently. Well, I guess I have actually played a new game,
Ooh.
but maybe not one I can talk very long about.
Ah, yes, I'm aware of this game, or having not seen any of it in action, but I'm aware of it through the power of Zach's voice.
You're aware of the name because it comes up on your Steam
Yes,
this morning when you were playing Team Fortress, or someone was.
for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Go ahead.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I've been playing that weird Recettear game, which I assume is how you meant to pronounce it, because it's a stupid pun on the word racketeer.
Oh. So it's not that you've read the word and said it in
No.
mind without half the letters
it
missing.
specifically says it. But that means, if you, because it's the name of the, okay, I might need to explain this slightly more than just saying the name of the game. But it's a game where basically, it's a weird Japanese indie game, which was released in 2007 and has now just suddenly appeared on Steam, because I know they want money. And it seems to be working for them because people are buying it. But yeah, it's this weird game where you're basically a small girl who gets lumbered with a shit ton of debt from her dad, who was an adventurer, who mysteriously, air quotes, disappeared fighting a dragon on top of a volcano. Mysteriously.
Okay.
Yeah, what's so mysterious about that? Mysteriously disappeared whilst fighting a dragon. Do you think he could have been, like, killed or eaten and shit?
Yeah, it's the best thing. It's like, literally in the story, they show, it's like, he mysteriously disappeared. Here's a file photo, and it shows him standing on the edge of a volcano fighting a dragon. It's like, I wonder what happened.
Well, actually, on the edge of a volcano, lots of things are going to happen there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, was he eaten? Was he burned by the dragon? Was he burned by the lava? Did he fall in the lava?
Did the lava burn him, and then he fell into the
Did
lava?
a random bit
Wait.
of lava just fall from the sky, irrelevant of the fight, making it a rather but large insurance nightmare?
And what happened to the photographer who took the file photo?
Yeah, exactly.
Did he miss the end of the fight, or was he like...
He was just turned around and like, oh,
He's
he's
like-
on.
He's just
Oh,
like...
shit, he's disappeared.
no, he just got bored, needed a pee or something. Then came back, was like, oh, well, that's disappointing.
That's not very dedicated journalism, though, is it?
So anyway.
Maybe the dragon disappeared as well. Maybe they both disappeared and they're somewhere trapped in limbo mode. And they're now good friends.
Well, maybe we're going to find out at the end of the game. I don't know.
He'll be alive and the dragon will be...
Dead.
Yeah, probably.
You'll probably have to kill the dragon, then he'll be half
I don't know,
digested.
you won't be killing the dragon, because as I said, you're a small girl who gets lumbered with this debt, and then you have to run an item shop. So it's like the inversion of the normal adventurers selling shit to item shop. You're the item shop, and you then sell shit to the adventurers.
I see.
And, shit, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I remember the names, yeah. So this girl that opens this item shop, and it combines her name and then the name of the fairy collection agent who's trying to get back this debt. So it's Recettear, because it sounds like Racketeer, as they make this stupid pun. But that means the girl's name is Recette, which is a weird name for a start.
Ricket.
Recette. It's like Recette.
Ricket. It sounds like Roxette or something. That it would be like a...
Yeah.
Or Raquel is the closest actual
Raquel.
name I can think of.
It's one of those things where maybe you think maybe it worked better in Japanese, like the pun of the name being similar to a word that means Recettear or whatever.
Right, just like the translations of Asterisk or whatever, where they're all the names are puns in French, and then they have to come up with new puns for English.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're worse, and sometimes they're actually better.
But despite that
Vital statistic.
weird bit of sort of...
Yeah. Get a fix, my favourite.
Despite that sort of weird bit of that makes you think about the translation a bit, but then it seems like they've done a pretty good job with the other translations. It's like they make quite a lot of almost funny dialogue, where it's like weird sort of puns, and it's like you talk to the guild master in the I don't know, shop guild place, and he's like, "Oh, the adventurers, they're all going into dungeons to look for fat loot," as they call it. It's like, that's a very English joke.
Yeah, they actually refer to it as fat gear.
Yeah.
Well, that reminds me of the translation, presumably, in Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, where the birds are talking about the fat pipes. And stuff. That must all be in translation from Japanese, unless they wrote those bits specifically.
I don't know, but I mean, that's like Nintendo. That's got a more severe localization effort, I guess.
That's true. Who did the localization of this Japanese game?
No idea. I assume they did, because it seems to only be credited as one tiny company that brought this 2007 game up suddenly. And we've got a nice smell here because of burning cooking.
What's actually going on?
Just why I mentioned that.
Here in the studio.
We're mildly distracted because, once again, this is a rather embarrassing intro for Naomi, who making her presence felt twice so far. Once by interrupting us with music, and second by burning a cake in the distance.
She was distracted by our hilarious conversation.
She's just special effects here.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's actually fairly relevant. She's making Scott Pilgrim avatars, if you didn't pick that up.
Yeah.
That's going to be difficult if you have to repeat everything, just in case they don't hear.
Oh, she might have to get closer to the mic when it's time for her section.
So
She's going to have a section there, whether she likes it or not.
We'll just leave, and then she can carry on talking to the mic.
It does come up with kind of a ditz.
Kind of a ditz, yeah. So, is the whole game selling shit?
No, it's actually really kind of weird. You obviously mainly what you do, well, not mainly, half the game is like you go to other places in town, buy shit cheap, and then sell it expensive, obviously, because that's trading. Or people who come into the shop sell you crap, and then you sell it back to other people or whatever.
Right.
It's not very complicated in terms of trading. And as I mentioned to Rob, because we were discussing like how you would do bartering in a game. In this game, it's like, here's your initial base price, set it to 130%, which is about what people will accept, and if they don't accept it, go down.
It's like adding salt to the chips in theme parks.
Yeah.
Or adding extra sugar to the Coke so they come back and buy more Coke because they're still thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But for RPG adventurers.
Yeah, so
Wasn't there sliders for how cold the ice cream was?
Yeah,
Well?
yeah.
Something ridiculous that, well, cold enough so it doesn't melt. Though.
So can you like discount a bow but like mark up the arrows and stuff like that?
I don't think it's quite that complicated. Although you do like the other half of the game is like you basically hire adventurers to go into dungeons, and then you get all those items that they find for free. So it's like you hire their services
And they give
find
you
you
the loot.
items.
Oh, I see.
So that's the actual game part of the game, basically, where you like walk around in a randomly generated dungeon and stab things.
Oh, so you go with them?
Yeah, well, you do, but you just follow them around like a trail. You're invisible. You're protected by some mysterious
So
force.
the dungeons are in the game; they're not unseen,
No,
and you get
yeah.
to see people you hire doing the dungeons.
Yeah,
and
you
just
control them and just like...
You control them.
Yeah, you control the hero guy as he wanders around and stabs things. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
game part of the
Oh,
game.
I see. So
basically.
it is like a traditional RPG. sort
Yeah,
of.
except you're weirdly on both sides of the equation. And even though, because as me and Rob said before, where we were like, oh, you sell all this crap, you're an adventurer, and then you sell all this crap to the shopkeepers. Where do they keep it all? Or how do they make profit or whatever? But now when you flip it around and you're playing as the shopkeeper,
Yeah.
it still doesn't make any sense, because it's like, why do these people in town keep coming into my shop and just buying random swords? Why does this old dude like want a sword every day?
It's so funny. Do you not get like new adventures coming that keep getting eaten by dragons, and every time they appear,
See, that
they
would be
need
that would make sense. That would be like actual,
Maybe all the shit you find in the nearby dungeons are just really awful and like made of like wood or something and rot and break within
or maybe
24 hours.
there's just like a whole load of like goblin thieves or something, and everyone in town constantly gets their stuff nicked.
Yeah. It's like a crime economy from the goblins. I mean, how do these minions underground like arm
Get all
themselves
this stuff.
anyway?
Well, we know that from the other inversion of the RPG genre, which was, of course, the original Dungeon Keeper. We know how they build dungeons and how the other side from the adventurous works, don't we? We know how the evil side works.
Your dungeons are slut.
It's because they mine gold
Angry
and
minions
stuff,
can't
don't
play
they?
marbles.
Yeah. Angry minions cannot play marbles.
Micro Piglet, stock your dungeon.
Beware!
Oh, if only they'd made Dungeon Keeper
Your
3.
dungeon floor is lumpy. Makes your minions jump up and down.
Wasn't there something, some news fairly recently about another potential sort of Dungeon Keeper style?
Oh yeah, I think I told you that,
Game.
didn't I?
Yeah.
It was like there's basically a like fake Dungeon Keeper remake where, in the same vein as that XCOM remake, where they were doing the turn-based shooty, map-based combat thing, apart from, again, without any of the licensing or whatever. So it wasn't as good, obviously.
Mm.
And then this is just basically that, except for Dungeon Keeper. Where it's just like, it's going to be Dungeon Keeper, but probably not as good.
So you might as well just play the original that you still have.
Provided it works.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that on 7.
Dungeon Keeper 2.
Yeah. That one probably will. Don't know about original Dungeon Keeper, that's probably a bit too old at this point.
Is Dungeon Keeper 2 better than Dungeon Keeper 1? If you were to play it today? Because nowadays the difference in graphics doesn't really matter.
I think it was mildly harder.
It was pretty hard. I say that, but I still got through it in the end. But there was one level that I got stuck on originally, like the first time I played Dungeon Keeper 2. I got stuck on like level 6, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, oh, fuck this, never doing this again. So I never bothered.
Old games were a bit like that, weren't they? You could, like a lot of early strategy games, I say early, but that sort of golden era of PC gaming were really annoying because they'd limit you to getting to a certain point and then become really bloody difficult suddenly, and then you wouldn't be able to get past them. Well, for me, that happened in Command and Conquer really bloody early on. And,
or like Total Annihilation.
So I got a bit pissed off with that game, so it's like, I'm a bit stuck now, and so I can't actually get very
It was like
far.
Total Annihilation
Solved it, and then...
on one of those. I had one of those as well. Where it's like, I only got to like level 6 on ARM or whatever, on the ARM campaign, and then got stuck because it was a slightly harder mission suddenly. But yeah, this mission in Dungeon Keeper was quite a bastard actually, because it was mainly because it was one of those classic where it's like cash limited. So you only had a very small amount of gold to work with, and you had to exploit it to the maximum to train your creatures up. And then you had to use the like first person possession thing in order to actually do some combat, because you couldn't afford to risk losing creatures or whatever. That was quite annoying, but I did eventually complete that. Although, to be honest, towards the end of Dungeon Keeper 2, it started getting to the stage where it's like you learn the cheap tricks to just make things easier. Where it's like, I can't remember, there was something really stupid in the last mission where there's like these big ass enemies you have to defeat or something. And I was like, I'm not going to fight them directly, creatures, I'm just going to cheap out and use this stupid tactic I discovered with weird combinations of spells and shit to jip them. Even though all my creatures were at like level 10 and I had hundreds of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the ever classic tactic in Dungeon Keeper of just like building a massive corridor full of traps and then just like the heroes in. Come this way.
Funneling them down the tunnels, yeah. Yeah.
Although that was harder to do in Dungeon Keeper 2 because most of the heroes would just tunnel randomly.
Oh, yeah.
Which was actually a bastard, because they can break your walls in Dungeon Keeper 2, whereas in Dungeon Keeper 1, your walls were invincible. So if you left one square that was just regular soil, they'd always have to come in there.
Yeah. So you could bottleneck them however you liked in the first game.
Provided you had natural dirt to work with, which is obviously you didn't, because they thought of that.
I can't believe it, even that first game had the first person possession thing, but of course it looked really, really crap.
2D sprites!
Yeah, it was like...
Yeah, because all the homes that the creatures lived in were sprites as well.
So they rotated as you walked around them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Always facing you.
And was the perspective wrong as well? Because obviously the sprite was designed for top down, and the sprite didn't change for
No, it did
No,
change.
it did change.
It did change.
It had a side-on sprite.
They had their own
They were still
sprites.
terrible.
Yeah, and super pixely.
Yeah. Can you imagine what that would have to look like if they made a Dungeon Keeper today? It would have to be up to scratch so that when you went into the first-person mode, it looked like a...
Yeah, but that would really be a problem.
These days, yeah.
I know.
Like,
That'd be
most
really cool.
RTSs have now got the zoom into near
Ground
the
level.
FPS level.
That's true.
Really damn well.
World in Conflict and stuff like that.
Yeah, Company of Heroes was pretty good as well.
Yeah,
And
Company of
Dawn War
Heroes.
2.
They're making that free. Do you know that?
What, Company of Heroes?
Yeah, free multiplayer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's worth shouting about.
It's called Company of Heroes Online.
Company of Heroes now free!
Yeah.
Maybe
Worth
they do that for
shouting
World of
about.
Conflict.
Also, one of the developers was killed in a car crash the other day. Which is
Ah,
pretty
so it's
horrible.
a bit of a dedication, I guess.
But he was like a hero or something because he had his wife and child or something in the seat, and he swerved in such a way that he got killed and they got saved, which was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, hardcore that guy.
Kudos.
That may be a tall tale, though.
Maybe.
It's hard to tell with car crashes.
Yeah,
you
it's
never
not
know.
sad.
They may have made it up to make his name sound cooler, but
Anyway, it's
hell, it
very
worked.
sad. Yeah, it's sad. Anyway, but
Yeah.
I hope Company of Heroes does well.
Again.
Yes. Well, it deserves to. It was a really good game when it first came. I didn't really play that much of the expansion. Was it an expansion?
There was an expansion. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there was 2, wasn't there?
Hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I
remember.
thought there would have been a couple of alternatives.
The only trouble is I always remember just Dawn of War expansions, because it was basically
Yeah.
the same game.
Well, they have whole new races, don't they, or whatever? Whereas you can't do that with World War Two.
No.
Although they did, didn't they? They had the British or something,
Yeah.
didn't they? Which was like the new race or whatever.
Or battle Jews. They could introduce those. Like
What?
they fight back and win and win.
Battle Jews. Rom.
They could. Maybe that would be an alternate history style where they gas Nazis instead.
It'd be like Red Alert, except, I don't know, Blue Alert, because it's not red, because the red is Soviets, obviously.
Be yellow alert. Star. No,
It's blue, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's blue. Yeah. Yeah. Alternate histories, or maybe the Nazis are actually the good guys somehow in one of these alternate history games, and we don't really know why. And the UN is actually just, Allied forces, I guess, are actually planning to break through all across the country to get to India or something and cause nasty stuff over there. Maybe they don't like Indians for some reason in the same way the Nazis don't like Jews. I don't know. Alternate crazy histories.
You could actually make quite a cool Company of Heroes game based on the wars that Israel has fought against people around it during the 20th century, the Yom Kippur War and the 7 Days War.
A lot
that
of
could
people
make
still consider that too recent, though.
But you should see Medal of Honor, the new one, is Afghanistan, this year or whatever.
I mean, Call of Duty have sort of got away with it because it's all fictional. It's not based on any particular real conflict, but
this Medal of Honor is going pretty much full out on the
Yeah.
Afghanistan thing.
wasn't there another game fairly recently that was canned because of the controversy because it was based on a...
6 Days in Fallujah or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah. I don't know. That might still come out, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't look that good anyway, I would assume, but I mean,
No.
I don't know. It's American spelling again going on. But Rob's writing down the tag list, and of course, Medal of Honor is spelt wrong because it's.
wait,
there's no
the
U
American
in,
one doesn't have a U,
There's
does
no
it?
U in honor. Fail.
We gave you English, don't fuck with it.
That is true.
We didn't really give them English, they just took it with them.
We gave them it.
They stole it when they
Yeah.
left, the bastards.
Yeah, they didn't have to take it with them.
They could have just made up an entirely new language.
Yeah,
On
American.
the spot.
Yeah, no, they could have just learnt the native American.
Except they all spoke English, apparently.
Did they? What, when they got there?
Yeah, because of various other people had crossed before the actual pilgrims did.
Interesting. Yeah, he was Chief Whiten, that.
Maybe they should put language in as a feature in civilization instead of religion or something. You can infinitely.
But that would be really difficult then, because then you wouldn't be able to do any diplomacy in the early game, because you wouldn't be able to understand each other.
That's true. Yeah, you'd need interpreters and.
Maybe that's what science. Maybe that's a tech. The tech of we care about other people's languages tech.
Well, I guess that's just the writing tech, really, isn't it? Because as soon as you can write it down, then you can directly translate word for word, so then you can learn the other language.
What's that language called from Star Wars? I think it's Huttese, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huttese.
It's Huttese, and then Klingon, of course, in Star Trek. Kapla! And all that.
But Huttese is like, why would that be? Why is that like language of the Hutts or whatever?
Yeah, why is that propagated? Why is that spoken? I suppose in Tatooine it makes sense because they control Tatooine, don't they, the Hutts? So it makes sense why they all speak it there. Well, they do, don't they? That's one of the lines in Star Wars Episode 1.
Well, yeah, but that's just like, he's just saying that. It's not necessarily...
Yeah.
He could just be bigging up himself.
Who? Jabba?
Yeah.
I own this planet. No, you really don't. You know, he's just waxing lyrical. It's like black rappers. You know, it's just like, I own you. Well, I'm not sure they actually say that, but you know, they always say.
Oh God!
You know what I mean? It's like, it's like anyone who says you're mine, bitch. It's kind of that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that's what the Hutts say about
mine, bitches, and everyone's like, no.
So anyway, languages.
You're just rich.
Yeah.
Duncan Bannatyne just turns up and goes, I own you. Yeah, and then I'm out.
Okay.
What the hell? So, Call of Duty Black Ops is coming out soon.
I honestly don't really care.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of it more than Modern Warfare 2, which I still haven't bought or played through in single player, because I just thought it looked a bit too stupid. But I don't know if this one will be less stupid.
I get the feeling it will be more stupid.
But it's Black Ops, that's got to be inherently more stupid, surely.
Well, I don't know, because it's like, it's got to take place within the past or whatever, so it's got to have things that, not necessarily things that actually happened, but at least within the framework of wars that actually happened, rather than Russia invaded the United States or whatever.
Ukraine, I think.
Yeah.
With nukes.
Yeah. Seems unlikely. But, because that and Medal of Honor are coming out, so it'll be a big Modern Warfare, basically fight without Modern Warfare at Christmas.
I don't think people will care enough about either of those.
Really?
If it's not Call of Duty, no one cares any longer.
Well, Black Ops is Call of Duty, technically. It's just the Treyarch version rather than the Infinity Ward. And since Infinity Ward seem to have gone a bit, well, the people have left it and stuff. Haven't they?
Well, was it Infinity Ward that were involved with Codemasters in a sort of poaching fight? Or was it Activision in general?
No idea.
I
don't know. I seem to remember Codemasters are suing Activision for nicking their staff members somehow. Is there a technical legality to all this? In that, you know, if they I suppose unless they're breaching their contracts, if they have a contract like that, then surely it's totally legal to go, hey, do you want to work for us? We've got a much better deal. Sweet. I love that. Surely that's legal.
Well, you don't know what kind of contracts they have.
No. You're mine, bitches.
Of course.
What?
I owns you.
Activision is what? A black rapper who comes along and says, I owns you.
Punk ass bitch. The Activision are the Black Baron from Mad World.
That's not rappers, you're thinking of pimps.
In that case, yes. Punk ass bitch.
So you played
It's not
Recettear. I know it's not.
Rectal gear.
It sounds like Rocketeer from Red Alert 2, if anyone's ever played that. That was a classic. Got a steady flow.
Yeah, so I played that, and that was basically. I haven't even played that much of that because I basically only got it yesterday because I didn't have a bank card in order to pay for stuff for like a week and a half.
So do you think it's good? You recommend it?
It's well, it's cheap.
Give
It's
it a
an indie
salad
game.
rating.
I don't do salads.
Okay, give it a meat rating.
It's 15 on the beef scale. Don't know what that means. It just is.
What is maximum beef? Max beef.
It's cheap. It's a weird indie game. I don't know how long it is. That's the main thing. So that will determine its relative
worth.
I guess.
How much did you pay for it on Steam?
£12.
Okay, well, if you get about 12, by my scale, if you get about 12 hours of use out of it, it'll be okay.
You think £1 an hour is what gameplay ought to be worth?
Basically.
Yeah, but but this would not be a game that you would think that's good. You'd have to at least double it, I think, because it's a bit grindy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that does immediately double your
a bit short of shop management. Setting prices and stuff.
I don't know. It's not a strict rule. There are some games you come away thinking that was worth it, regardless of its length. But there are games where you walk away thinking, well, okay, it's not a top tier game, but I have got some hours out of it, so it was worth it at the end of the day.
But what about when it's a top tier game that's really short, like Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah, I do feel a bit. I did get that on the cheap, to be fair, because I got it as part of the ridiculous British supermarket sales where
they had a price war.
A couple of them dropped it to like 25 quid, something like that, on launch. So I got it for that. And
what's it
I
called?
don't feel too hard done by the fact that it is ludicrously short and I didn't enjoy it that much. But that's just me. I didn't get into the multiplayer, and presumably the people that play that to death, I've got hundreds of hours out of it, in the same way that we have out of TF.
Exactly. Well, that value, you should work out the value. How much did you buy? You bought the orange box, didn't you?
It's easy to calculate my value for Team Fortress now, because I've pretty much got to exactly 1,000 hours.
So 1,000 hours, and how much do you spend on it?
Fuck me.
I don't know, how much was it
The orange box must have been 35 quid, mustn't it?
Yeah.
So
for all of those things.
Yeah, that includes Half-Life 2, Episode 2, and Portal.
2 or 1?
2.
It gave you 1 as well, though, didn't it? Because it gave you 1 unnecessarily.
That's essentially a play rate of about 3p an hour.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
That is the best value, because World of Warcraft is great and everything, and you could play it forever, but it has a subscription, so that's never going to be the same value as TF2, is it? No. It's never going to be 3p an hour value, because you have to pay 50 quid a month or whatever it is. So
I wonder if it's actually possible to get it that low in a month, like just play it constantly.
What, World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people play it pretty much constantly.
It must be possible.
Theoretically, my cash per hour rating on like Eve must have gone up since I started paying for it with in-game money.
True.
Like, I'm playing the game in order to play the game, so I'm not paying real cash any longer.
Speaking of these things, it's worth actually branching off here, because there is a serious subject in that EA have been, and I mentioned this to Zach yesterday, that EA have been experimenting with free online games now. They've brought some of their major franchises into the online realm.
Well, that might be Company of Heroes, is that EA? I don't know. That might be involved with that. Actually. Yeah, anyway.
But yeah, basically FIFA Online and Need for Speed Online have launched with free-to-play packages. And the FIFA one actually sounds quite intriguing because, well, basically most people who want to play a football game, I guess, just pick it up, play a match, put it down.
Yeah.
And FIFA Online gives you all of that for free. You can play as any team you want. You can play a match against anyone you want. You can jump out. It even introduces a new intriguing mouse control system, which has had a lot of novice players apparently saying that it's a very good, nice way into football games. So they're capturing semi-casual as well. Except, and then the only things you actually have to pay for within the game appear to be the customization options. So if you want to delve deeper and start making your own teams or having persistent stats and, I guess leveling if that exists, I don't know, then you have to start paying for it. And that to me would sort of work. The hardcore would end up buying it. The people that just want to dive in, dive out, who probably wouldn't have bought the game anyway, the standard games.
Well, Well, that would attract me
haven't
more
made of a loss.
because I wouldn't buy a FIFA game. But...
No, I don't see the point in most full-price sports games.
It's like, how well did Battlefield Heroes do, really?
That's what I was thinking. Battlefield Heroes, yeah.
That was EA's basically first attempt.
That was
I wouldn't have said it succeeded.
No, but
you did play it.
good.
I played it and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game wasn't that brilliant. And actually, I didn't even get as far as actually playing the game. I signed up for it and got pissed off at the website. So.
Yeah, that was really bad. I think websites for that, and also the website for Quake Live was pretty bad as well.
Actually, no, that was all right.
I didn't like it.
It worked. It was more functional than the Battlefield one.
Right.
You could still find games using the web service. Joining a match that was interesting generally wasn't a problem on Quake Live. Actually, just Quake Live still exists, doesn't it? It hasn't died yet.
Well, I
I think it was going to die soon or something.
I think they may have changed it so it's paid and they've removed the adverts or something. Something like that.
Oh, that'd suck.
I'm not sure, though.
How can they make you pay for a game that's
perhaps
that
not.
old?
Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I read something about it.
What's the American spelling of heroes?
That's right. Yeah, that's how they spell that nonsense.
All right.
Because Battlefield 1943 still hasn't come to PC after they promised it would, and everyone wanted to play that.
It's over nearly a year late now, isn't it? Something
At
like
least a year late, I think.
Suck. But anyway, yeah, on a slightly different note, the other game EA are attempting this model with is Need for Speed Online, which is the complete antithesis. Oh, look, we're getting a nice demonstration of burnt cakes.
Oh, lovely.
I will be attempting to sink my teeth into the crispy shells of cake a bit later on. But Need for Speed, in the other sense, is just basically an empty shell of a game.
Smooth.
Well, no, in theory, it sort of sounds like it should work until you work out the pricing structure. Basically, they've made a racing game where you have to level up in order to reach new races and unlock new vehicles and stuff like that, which doesn't sound that bad. You can play for free for the first 10 levels, and after that, you have to buy content packs to carry on. Except for the current state of the game is that everyone plays the free content, no one has bought the paid content, and the people that buy the paid content suddenly find themselves with no one to play against.
Oh, God.
Because the population isn't there. So, it kind of falls on its face a little bit, because obviously everyone's playing the free content, and it hasn't become popular enough to warrant people carrying on. So actually, the people that have paid for it are suffering. And in order to get to that point in the game anyway, you have to go through a horrendous grind of playing the same levels over and over again to get the experience. So you're already thoroughly pissed off with the game before you want the content. It's basically an epic fail.
No one's going to get this right until Valve have a go and prove how to do it, and then include support for that in the Steam SDK, whereupon everyone else will start doing it. That's what will happen eventually. But for the meantime, Valve can afford to just provide content for free.
Well, there was that thing just the other day, wasn't there, where Valve have just put a point, well, not really a point system, but a sort of a point system into the Steam engine in the same way as Xbox Live or the PSN has.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, like Microsoft Money. Or
you insert a chunk of cash into your Steam rather than just paying it as you come to it.
But that's why I like Steam, because it all just comes out of my PayPal. And
that's basically what people have been saying. It's like, this is pointless. There's no reason to buy chunks of money and then have little bits left over. But presumably it's for something that hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, there's a... I can see why they choose that option, because if you think about it, if you have to buy a certain number... The Microsoft system is the one that sort of hits that pretty much dead on, because the Microsoft system is you buy points basically in multiples of 700 points. And 500 points, isn't it? You buy 500 points, 1,000 points, and then
everything costs 800, isn't it?
In some packages, you get an extra 100 points. But no game is worth 500 points, and no game is worth 1,000 points. They're all 800 or 400 or weird denominations. So you always end up with points left, and then there's always this stigma. Oh, I could use those points
to buy a fucking T-shirt or something.
Not necessarily the avatar purchases, but for me, it's like you sit there and there's points in your account, and it's like, well, I've got to use them. So you put more points on your account to buy the next game, and you're still left with points left. It's
deliberate, yeah.
It's a deliberate hook
But that's the thing about the Steam version is that it's not points. It just literally is. They don't.
It's just money.
They don't obscure it by saying it's like this many dollars turns into this many points. It's just you put this many dollars in.
Well,
which is kind of weird.
PSN take a halfway house in that you, for large cost purchases, you add to your PSN wallet the amount of money the game is, and then that immediately comes out, and then you immediately pay for it on there. That's fine. That kind of works like Steam in that respect. And unless you make a small purchase, in which case the minimum amount you have to add to your PSN wallet is a $5. So you end up with a $5 in your PSN account,
right,
of which you're only using a couple of quid perhaps for a tiny game or a game on deal or something, and then you're left with this extra money hanging around until your bigger purchase comes up. So they sort of done the same thing, but not quite so mad as the Microsoft one.
Because the Microsoft points have deliberately confusing conversion ratios from major currencies like dollars and pounds, so that they deliberately make it hard to work out in your head how much something is worth in real money.
Because it's £7.50 for 1,000 points, I think.
Something like that.
So when you buy an 800-point game, you're essentially spending about £6 on it. But it's not going to be anywhere near accurate. So you've just got to keep track of the amount you're spending in terms when you actually sort of buy the points outright. But don't base it on the cost of the game. But
is there anything else that uses Microsoft points beyond the Xbox Live?
I think there were plans to, but I'm not sure any of them sort of saw the light of day. I can't think of them off the top of my head. We'll probably see a resurgence in it when Windows Phone 7 comes out, because it might start applying to Zune Marketplace, and
apparently,
in fact, it probably already does apply to Zune, so you could probably buy music and things through Microsoft points.
You know, they did that preview of Windows 7 Mobile.
The UK doesn't really have the Zune, so we don't really have the ability to try.
But and they had those. It's the UI Windows 7 Mobile with the boxes and everything. And everything. And everyone was like...
Metro UI.
Everyone was like, oh, this looks quite cool. And apparently there's been a preview of it where people could actually get their hands on it. And apparently it's awful.
Really? I've heard various things. Like, a lot of people say that the hands-on of Metro UI on Windows Phone, actually it makes a lot of sense. You just have to realise the methodology of it. Whereas if you can't find... Well, it's basically like, if you don't quite know what to do, hold your finger down on the object you want to do something with, and it will give you basically the master key. Like, magic stuff will happen if you do that.
That's like sort of right-clicking to find what you need in Windows.
From what I've seen, it seems fine, to be honest. It's a slightly different way of doing things, and it's while the iPhone was immediately sort of... It has the problem of, because it's doing something different, people aren't adapting to it, I think. Right. It's like, Android and iPhone essentially work pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
Big tiles, sort of slidey boxes, the finger navigation. Windows Phone tries to do things differently with hubs and connected so you don't have a contact list. You have your Facebook, your Twitter, your contact list all in one place. It tries to combine everything into hubs and try and be smart about it. And because of that sort of difference, I suppose, and the way the Metro UI works with its crazy cut-off text and boxes that go off screen, and it make no attempts at fitting everything on screen approach. That I think people get a bit confused by it, because it's almost over stylized.
Yeah, I'm not. I would like to see one myself before I make. But I've heard that I've heard initial good things, and then suddenly when people actually got their hands on it, terrible things. Maybe that was because the hardware they were running on couldn't run, because it was like apparently jerky and stuff. So maybe they're just running on pre-production stuff.
And it is still, but it's not ready yet. Let's be honest. It's probably not production quality code. I don't know. I'm holding out hope for Windows 7. We know for a fact there are going to be a lot of things missing from it, but when it launches, for instance, copy and paste. For fuck's sake. There was a big old hoo-ha about the iPhone's lack of copy and paste, and Microsoft have gone and made the same mistake.
It's actually amazing how many things weren't in iOS when it launched. Like, apps weren't in iOS when it launched.
Really?
Yep. I don't know if you guys remember, but when iPhone launched, all the apps were web apps. And I don't remember that. Yeah. And everyone was very surprised by this when it was announced. And then Yeah, obviously apps are the big success story about the iPhone, and they weren't in it originally because Apple wanted to control everything. And so they said, oh, you can make apps. Sure, you can make web apps, and our mobile Safari will
play them.
That was the idea. Every app was to be a web app originally. Can you imagine if they'd stuck with that?
I suppose that was the original... Maybe they were sticking to the original golden idea of WAP, where you make a collection of... I think this is the golden idea that a lot of sort of technical houses have of web services in general, where you build a generic web service and it'll work on every device, which is fine in theory, except for the fact that the internet just isn't fast enough, and we're now used to desktop computing and things with their rich UIs and things, which only could be done locally. So apps solve that issue. You get the rich UI that can use web services and hide away all the basically horrible web stuff and make it so it looks fine. And that's the way it will stay for a long, long time.
Because the reality is, to build a really decent web app, you really need to use the latest standards or whatever. And not all the browsers are going to support that. So you're ending up limiting your audience again, of machines that can run. It's all very well, this is an app, a web app, and can run on multiple machines, but they'll have to have Chrome running, because IE 8 won't run it because it hasn't got the HTML5 support or whatever.
I think IE 8 does have very limited HTML5.
Yeah, but
presumably all that shit will be in IE 9, but
it's supposed to have quite a bit of HTML5 support, yeah.
Anyway.
Not
games, but tech.
So, that's all you've been playing?
Well,
bit of Minecraft I saw you playing just now.
Yeah, just before we started. Playing a tiny bit of Minecraft for no reason. And then Team Fortress, obviously. And then...
Any more news on your competitive TF lifestyle?
Well, I haven't really had a match since our last one. Or have I? I can't remember. That tells you how much of an impact it is. It's just like it's just like I'm playing Team Fortress, as I would do like many other nights. It's just that they've called me onto a specific server and I have to go on a TeamSpeak. Or a Mumble.
It's like you're doing quests in TF, really.
I thought your discussion last time on scripting was quite interesting. By the way, you
still fucking hate it.
You could totally do that thing where bind multiple keys to the same action.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to work out how.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about scripting.
You could definitely do that.
But then, yeah. So I've been. I guess I have been. I may have mentioned this last time, but I've been playing more weird classes lately.
Oh, I tried going back to demo the other day.
It's really
fucking suck at demo.
I think I'm so bad at demo, and I'm fairly sure I'm bad at demo, and yet somehow I still keep getting pretty good scores. It's like,
I think it's because you don't play demo properly. you play as swordsman.
No, I've only just started doing that really recently again, though. It's like it's not like I've got all the sticky achievements or anything. I'm like, if you consider it, it's like I'm halfway up for like airburst sticky kills achievement.
Still further than I've got.
Yeah, so I've done some sticky stuff since the demo pack, but just recently I've changed to sword to see if I can learn to use the fucking sword, which sword I really can't.
The sword is great.
It's great once you get like 2 kills. Because if you haven't got any kills with it, you're just so slow, and you've got your, gimp.
Does it actually make you slower than normal?
Yeah.
I might stop using it then, unless I've got the charging turd.
Yeah, you really have to pair it. It's just a kind of weird unlock system to have to pair it with the Taj to really make it effective.
I may be crippling myself.
Yeah,
but then once you get like 2 heads, it's like you start to become awesome. And then once you've got 2, it's like it becomes easier to get more. But then of course it stops upgrading you once you get to 4.
So if you meet a Charge and Taj guy, Highlander guy, and he's already got 2 heads, then you're in trouble.
Well, unless you kill him and then you steal his heads.
Well, if you are one as well.
Yeah. That's what I did the first time. Pretty much the first time I seriously tried to play a game with the sword. It was like, oh, I killed another demo and I've suddenly got 3 heads. Oh shit! And now I'm awesome. And then I went on to get like 7 or something.
I didn't realise it stopped at 4. That's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, well, otherwise you just get ridiculously powerful.
That'd be really silly.
Or that each one should get... You still get a bonus, but it gets increasingly less.
Well, like exponential curve.
Yeah. Well, yeah, was it? What was it called?
Asymptotical.
Yeah. That thing.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. But I mean, once you have 4, you're so fast, it's ridiculous, and you don't notice it even, which is really strange. And then when you die, you're like, so slow.
So slow.
I do really love the pickaxe for the soldier, though, because it doesn't seem to have much of a disadvantage. It just makes you incredibly speedy if you've lost any health. It's like, it's so funny.
There's no reason of having the spade.
The spade,
No.
yeah.
Except for the achievement, which is the irritating thing.
Where you have to kill a nemesis with a spade. That's never going to happen. It's hard enough to get a spade kill anyway.
Yeah, spade were always the lamest of the melee weapons, really, weren't they?
Ace of spades.
Not that it's different from any of the other melee weapons, really. It's just you never have a reason to use it as a soldier. Because you're using rockets. Even at point blank range.
Yeah, you shoot your feet
Yeah.
and kill your enemy, and not you, because you've got enough
Basically,
health.
the melee is only useful if you're playing rockets with gunboats. Because
Then you
if
don't have
run
another
out of-
weapon.
Yeah, if you run out of rocket ammo, that's all you've got left.
That's true. Yeah. Shotgun.
Is there any class where you can run out of ammo and not have any attackable weapons with any setup? I don't think there is there?
No, there's always a melee fallback.
Yeah, but I meant on like classes where the melee is not
What?
thing.
There isn't one, is there? All melee weapons can work just as melee.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, there isn't a limit.
I heard someone had the idea that, now that they've run out of
Otherwise, sudden death wouldn't work.
class
it
updates,
doesn't work very well anyway with all the unlocked weapons.
but they're saying that now they've run out of class updates, maybe they'll make a unique shotgun for each of the shotgun wielding classes.
Yeah, but they're not going to. They're going to they're going to release that polycount pack thing, which is just more weapons for some of the classes again.
Classless updates. We'll see for a while.
Apart from they're not classless, it's a pack. It's basically they're just going through all the classes again, only in a different order this time, but with community weapons, but with proper stats. Is the idea?
Yeah, some of the community weapons have been good so far.
Well, yeah, but these are basically community models, and then they're going to have balanced stats instead.
Oh, I see. So they're taking community ideas for just what the level and backstory of the.
Yeah, what the weapon looks like, and then they have got the actual models as well. It was a modelling competition, basically.
Although it's funny to think of a weapon having a backstory.
Well, some of them do. Like the sword has quite a backstory.
The Southern Hospitality left home after being chucked out for too much Jack Daniels abuse.
Probably.
Well, they usually involve Manco, don't they? The
Yeah.
production of the weapons.
Manco.
Was it Saxon Hale?
Saxon Hale. But yeah, so, I mean, I've seen the packs that won that polycount pack competition. I don't know why that hasn't been released. Maybe they are actually having trouble balancing all these things, but it's like the soldier one, he gets like a black, kind of boxy looking, more like an actual rocket launcher maybe. Well, not really. It's like
a modern rocket
yeah,
launcher,
not just like a
Anti-tank,
tube.
yeah.
So it's got and then the scout gets a milk bottle instead of the bonk. As another alternative to bonk, you get a bottle of milk, and the melee weapon is just a fish in newspaper.
Oh, that's awful. That's awesome. I want one of those.
That better have a different sound effect, because it's like when they reuse the melee hit. It's like the sniper's wooden melee knife that still has the metal hit sound effect. It's like, you didn't make a sound effect for it, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, can they just use the bullet hitting wood sound?
You'd think so.
Talk.
But that's because it's not based on the weapon so much as it's based on what you're hitting.
Yeah. I suppose maybe it would clang if you hit wood to metal,
but not in. It probably wouldn't sound like that.
No,
it would be a different kind of clang.
A bit more of a dull clang.
But
dang.
yeah, as long as they make a specific sound effect for the fish, because otherwise it would sound really weird. You'd either have the aluminium bat sound effect,
I'm just looking
or
forward
the wooden bat sound effect.
I'm just looking forward to the scout's speech to go with it. How many fish puns can they be?
Oh yeah, well that would be the other one, because it's the same way as the demo man doesn't have new kill lines for melee with the sword. So you kill someone with the sword, and he still goes, "Aye, me bottle of scrumpy," and it's like, no, this was a sword actually.
That's not very good, is it?
No.
I suppose they can only get the actors in occasionally, so they probably do it in big batches.
Yeah.
Herring.
Because otherwise you'll be like, you'll beat someone down with the fish and you'll be like, "It came from your head, my bat's still dry." It's like, it's not a bat.
The bat is still dry.
Well, that's true, I guess. That does still technically work.
But you don't have your bat with you, though, do you?
No.
No, it's in the display cabinet at home.
Your
Yeah.
bat is still dry. This fish, however, is covered in blood.
That's gonna have to be one fucking solid fish.
Yeah. Or unless they do it with the wiggly bones thing like they did for the hats and stuff.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be wobbly, yeah.
Maybe that's it, but because it'll be wibbly and stuff, they'll have to. The swing rate will have to go down because you can't physically swing.
That
a
would be
wobbly
the question.
object
It's like,
that
what will
fast.
the stats be for a fish?
Yeah.
What will its special effects be?
The dead fish.
Make people smell.
Oh, no. Yeah, I wonder if it has like the piss effect. So you hit someone with it and it like douses them in cod liver oil or something.
That makes them stronger.
Yeah, how much oil do you think cod's livers have in them? Like,
So you hit someone with a fish and it just splashes out.
Yeah, maybe it's like a has a charge up timer like the jar of piss. So the next when it's full, the next hit you land will fissionate them, and they'll go. Ugh.
What will the bottle of milk do instead of the bonk effect? That's
Make the cows angry.
Well, there's just some random cows will appear in the map and start randomly killing people.
Yeah, cow onslaught.
Logically, you'd say for milk it must be like a health booster, like the Dalcolm's bar or whatever.
I guess, yeah. Milk it.
Yeah, let's hope the Scout gets some hilarious milk lines as well for drinking milk.
What, Mr. T style?
Yeah, basically.
Youth centres.
That should just be just like you press the button to drink the milk and you drink it and he just goes, "Milk, come on, youth centres," and then runs off.
Were there any milk references in the 18 movie that you saw?
No.
Oh, were there any youth centre references?
No.
There was probably still gold references.
Look at my god.
Yeah, I think there was one. Again, he wasn't wearing nearly as much bling as he would normally, though.
Oh, lame.
Again, that is a fuck ton of bling that Mr. T normally wears. They probably had to dumb it down a little bit to make it semi-believable.
I like you said dumb it down. It was pretty dumb to begin with.
Dumb it up.
It's... Smart it down. I don't know.
Smarten it up. That works.
Maybe it's smarting it down because...
Not sexy.
Yeah, no.
Sexy.
It's because smartening a movie is probably making it worse in those places. If you think, well, to smartenate Mr. T probably isn't a good idea.
No.
Therefore, you're
Isn't that
smarting
what
him
they've
down
done?
rather than smartening him up. If you were to smartening him up, then that would imply it was a good thing.
Right. Okay.
So anyway.
I guess that covers everything that I've been playing.
Okay.
Or
So
does it? Oh wait, I should also probably mention, even though it's not out yet, but it will be probably by the next time we do a podcast.
what's that?
Civ 5 is coming
Yes.
within a week.
Damn
And
it.
so
I really
I'm-
want it.
It's like the only bit of news I have to report, well, 2 bits of news, I guess, sort of. Firstly, it already preloaded onto Steam, and
Sweet.
it was 4.5 gigs, which is acceptable, I guess.
Okay.
It's like trying to infer something from that data.
4.5 gigs. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us, it's like, there's no level geometry, it's not a 10 gig game or anything.
No.
And the other thing is they've released the achievements, so you can now see the achievement list of what you have to do to get the Steam achievements in Civ 5. Which basically, as far as I can, there's 120 achievements, and as far as I can tell, you're going to have to play about 60 playthroughs to get 60 of them, because they're all, you can only do like one of these per playthrough, where it's like, beat the game with every civilization, beat the game in every difficulty, beat the game on every map size.
Oh my god, how long would that take?
So I reckon there's at least 60 playthroughs you're going to have to play to get half the achievement.
And how long does a playthrough take? Like 15 hours?
Yeah, some ridiculous number of hours. And then there's the other half of the achievements are all like weirdly specific things that are like stupid puns on the civs. Like, all for one and one for all. Defeat an enemy with a French musketeer with 2 other French musketeers flanking it. Because the Three Musketeers, obviously.
Yeah.
Anything about nunchucketeers?
No, I don't think any of the civilizations have nunchucketeers as a special unit, although they really should.
Not even the Japanese.
Well, I think it would be Spanish, wouldn't it? The
Nunchucks.
Palasas or whatever.
Guess so, but they're not nunchucks.
Yeah, but the things in the Serious Sam were actually more like Palasas than nunchucks.
Well, yes. The ones in Serious Sam were probably Balasas, but I want ninjas and nunchucketeers. Samurai.
I don't think they'd be called nunchucketeers even if they were a unit that used nunchucks.
What is there a proper name for someone what used nunchucks?
Just ninjas.
Yeah, it's just another martial art weapon,
No,
really.
another ninja for thing.
I don't know.
Nunchucketeers.
And there's also
Halberdiers,
there's
they were
also
always
the
good.
mysterious.
In what medieval Total War, wasn't it? That was John's favourite.
Halberdiers.
Yeah, the halberds are like long sort of poles
with
with
an axe on the end.
Yeah, axe on the end.
As used by Song Mina in Soul Calibur.
Yeah,
Anyway, carry on.
but yeah, there's I guess what is now an in-joke on from 2K, who's like the publisher, surprisingly, of Civilization and Borderlands, and two of the games I have by
they're
2K.
getting bigger, aren't they? 2K.
But
and Bioshock, isn't it? It's 2K as well.
2K, yeah.
But
Rational.
one of the achievements, this must be a 2K in-joke, because there's the You're on a Boat achievement.
Oh,
You're on a boat.
Yeah. So obviously someone who works there liked that way too much. And there's so
that
in Border,
T-Pain thing, is it? Saturday Night Live.
yeah. So in Borderlands, there's the You're on a Boat achievement, where in like Treacherous Landing, there's a raider boat docked at a pier, and if you go and jump on it, it's like you got the achievement. You're on a boat. And then in Civ 5, it's embark a unit onto a transport. You're on a boat. So there you go.
Well, that would be really easy to get.
Yeah, that one will happen pretty quickly.
Compared to like the achievement for playing every difficulty level or something. I'm on a boat would be just like
Yeah, that's the free achievement basically.
yeah.
And some of them, I mean, all the Civilization ones are ridiculously specific, like that French Musketeer one. Except for every unit, like the Japanese one is like Kamikaze, where you have to kill a unit with your unit only having one health.
That must be hard. So yes,
Yes, that's pretty much.
that's coming attractions on the Saladcast.
Yeah, I'll be playing that way too much probably. God damn it.
And I'll hopefully join you at some point, but maybe not straight away.
Yeah, we can play a multiplayer game of Civ. Holy shit.
Oh no! What you mean, like cooperatively? Like we'll be.
Well,
allies?
I mean, yeah, we wouldn't.
We have to kill each other in the end, though, won't we?
Not necessarily.
Christ, you have a lot more experience than I do.
I doubt it.
Jesus,
In actually being good at the game.
I wouldn't know I was dead for 10 hours after I'd made the mistake. Probably. That's the trouble with those games.
It depends how this new game works in terms of, land occupation or whatever. It's the way you buy land now and stuff. Where instead of your city zone just expanding once when it gets to a certain
Culture
level.
and population.
Yeah. So now instead of your city, because you found the city and you can work them 8 squares around it.
Of course, yeah.
And then when it expands, you get the extra 12 around the edges.
Do some hexagonal geometry.
Yeah, but now you just... Well, I'm not sure how many you get when you found the city, whether it's just the one that it's on or the number around them, 6, probably.
Because I thought the hex map would make it more complicated, but it's actually simpler, isn't it? Because you could move diagonally on the grid map.
Yeah.
So you actually less directions you can travel now.
Yeah. But now with cities, supposedly they don't expand naturally. You purchase the squares directly. So you might actually be able to control your borders slightly better in the early game, rather than just hoping that the computer players won't fuck you up.
Wasn't the hex map introduced on Civ Rev for the consoles? Civilization Revolution.
Don't know.
What?
I thought it was a lot like the
Xbox.
iPhone one, actually.
I've never played that.
Civilization Revolution on the iPhone is
Yeah.
square.
Grid.
Yeah, I know. I thought the one on the Xbox
And on
was
the
like
DS.
that. I did actually watch the Giant Bomb quick look of it, but I didn't notice how the grid was, so I guess that shows you how much I was paying attention, or how much they were showing of it.
I think it was hexed for simplicity, I guess.
Mm.
But Sega's Revolution is supposed to be a simplification of Civ. But on that note, I finished my first game of Civ Rev on the iPhone.
Oh yeah? Tell us more.
Basically, after all that trouble I was having with fucking English longbowmen,
Yeah.
being ridiculous and being able to kill tanks, admittedly tanks that I found in an Aztec temple,
This is great, this game.
eventually it got to the stage where they weren't teching up because they were. Well, one of the cities I came across at the end of the game had no ability to gain population because it didn't have any food-providing squares where it was built.
That's not necessarily uncommon for Civ, because sometimes you will have a shitty city where it's like, it's never going to get above size 4 or whatever.
That's true, yeah.
No, I didn't know that could happen. But there was this one that was basically just a 1. And couldn't grow, and so couldn't build anything either. It was a bit ridiculous. And in the end, I actually had a choice of any victory I wanted. It was like, I was friends with the Russians. I'd killed everyone else, apart from the English. They were still about.
The longbowmen.
And the longbowmen, yeah. I gave up trying to attack the British after they could take out tanks with arrows somehow. And then ended up, had any choice of victory I wanted. Until the Londoners thought, oh, fuck this. This messes with our plans of world domination. So the English people started attacking me. And then I just walked their cities. And then it's like, oh, well, I've won by domination now.
Apart from it was weird domination where like you controlled a certain number of capital cities.
Yeah, it's like the domination rule is you have to have taken over like 4 capitals.
Oh, it's different from normal, isn't it?
Yeah, where it's land area normally and population.
So will you be playing another game?
Possibly. I might have to step up the difficulty quite a lot.
Yeah, because you were so far tech ahead.
Apart from the start game was fairly difficult.
Yeah.
That's because you didn't know what you were doing, though.
No, maybe. And the start game did seem kind of hard, but yeah, the end game just became ridiculously easy and just became, a time sap. I was trying to win by technological victory because, spaceships.
Yeah.
Dude. And it didn't actually let me in the end.
Had you not built enough of a spaceship to launch before you'd killed everyone? Okay.
I don't really know how the spaceship mechanic works, but
I don't know how it works in Civ Rev.
I was building
fucking
loads
like
of
the
it.
same as in the older Civ games, like Civ 2 or whatever. You build the parts and then it gives you like a probability of success.
Oh yeah, and then you launch or whatever.
So you just build all of them, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't ever launch with less than all the parts.
Yeah.
I like how it thought before I'd built any propulsion units, though. The diagram of the ship said time to travel to Alpha Centauri, 35 years. And it's like somehow it's doing that without any engines.
Oh, it could do that.
It could get there, apparently.
Magic.
Although I gave it some engines and apparently said, it'll take 5 years now.
Some awesome engines.
Yeah, there must be some pretty damn sweet engines, considering I'd only learned steel a few years prior.
Yeah, it is amazing how fast you can take ahead on the easy difficulties. In the Middle Ages, you could be building the spaceship. Well, not quite that early, but in the...
Normally, you can easily get to that sort of
Victorian.
stage in, 1900s.
Yeah,
you can easily be winning by space.
Yeah, it's just the weird thing. The sort of time scale of Civ Rev doesn't really sit naturally, because I'd only learnt steel by about 2009.
Yeah, but that was more because you hadn't gone down that path so much.
I guess.
You kind of skipped it and gone on to stuff
I
that...
pretty much had maximum science that I possibly could. I had every great person that had appeared in the world was mine. And yeah, so I had uber science, and somehow I still was behind real time in terms of tech upgrades.
Well, you can change between like science and cash on your cities, though, can't you?
Yeah. But they were mostly set to science. There was only the odd few that were insane money givers that I kept as money givers. Especially when I built banks in them, and one of them had the Uber bank. It's doubled it again, so it's giving me several thousand gold a turn.
I always thought it was kind of dumb, those upgrades that you'd get that were sort of major. They're sort of semi-wonders, like national wonders or whatever in Civ 4.
Yeah.
You get ones that were just or not necessarily even wonders, but you just get buildings that are plus 100% to something. And this is plus 100% is really, especially when it's a national wonder or a world wonder, because it's obviously you build it in the city that's already got the most you have, and then it just doubles it to make it even more high.
Yeah, but at least it has that cap where you can only build so many national wonders in one city, can't you? 2, isn't it, or something?
Well, it doesn't have that limit on the phone.
Well, those are world wonders, though, mostly, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because you can build as many world wonders in one city as you like, but you can only build 2 national
So you
wonders.
tend to all build those in one place as well.
Yeah, so they're all built in your capital, obviously. Well, unless you're using it for something.
Or your secondary city.
Yeah. That's always the 2 key cities. Obviously your capital, and then your secondary is always really important as well.
is some that the last couple. I think, well, especially the last game I played, it was like I had a secondary city that wasn't. It was just like I just founded a city, but it somehow turned out to be awesome. And coincidentally, I built it in just the right place. So I made that like because it wasn't my capital, so my capital could be busy working away on actual wonders and shit. And then I made that secondary city like my military production city.
Yeah.
So you give it like the national wonders that give you like extra experience points and like double unit production. So you just churn units out so quickly, and they all come like ready, promoted 2 levels or whatever.
Yeah, it's really good to have a specialised military production city if you can, but it has to be like almost as big as the second one, because if you start deputising like smaller cities, then they just produce so slowly that you might as well set them to grow.
But the trouble with making it in like your second city or whatever is like you start to suspect it's not actually being worthwhile because everything starts to get towards one turn, and it's like, how much am I wasting by going over?
That's true, yeah.
Because I mean, I think sometimes in Civ 4 it can like production can overrun.
Yeah.
Because you'll notice sometimes when you're building things that take 2 turns, if you queue them up, it will be like 2 turns, and then one of them will be 1 turn.
Yeah.
Because it will like overrun some of the production.
Yeah.
But obviously you can't do that with 1 turn units.
No, because
they would go to 0 somehow. So you start to think, maybe I'm wasting it.
Well, we'll see what happened in Civ 5.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else you've been playing, Rob? Other than Civ on your phone?
I've been struggling to think, to be honest. I did start playing Battle Bears yesterday.
Oh man, that was terrible. Terribly hilarious.
It wasn't too bad, actually. It was like stand in one place, fight off the waves.
It was a shooting gallery.
Yeah, shooting gallery, basically. But it's presented in 3D on the iPhone, which is quite nice, and you could shoot. Basically, you seem to be a normal bear who's mysteriously militaristic and has a great big phobia of being hugged to death. And there's some sort of military war against these huggy bears. So they give you any means necessary to take out these things coming towards you going, "Meh." So you when you shoot them in the head, their head flies off and a rainbow comes out. It's just so cute. With epic hardcore music and flamethrowers.
Terrible voice acting.
And some voice acting and a bazooka, which is made from peeling off body parts from your dead foes and loading them into the cannon.
Bazooka.
So that was alright. We also played, what was it? Not Dark Void.
Glowing Void. the opposite.
Yeah, the exact opposite of a Dark Void.
How can a void glow anyway?
Because you're making a void and it's a colour.
Okay.
Against the black background.
It's basically, do you remember? It's like I forget. I don't know how you say it, but QIX, like kicks, or
right.
There was a series of games also called Bally that had the same concept. Really old school. Well, the basic idea is you have a playing field, and the idea is you have to segment it off.
Right.
So you basically cut away the amount of area that's left of the playing field, in which the bad guys live, and if they collide with you or hit your line that you're making, you die as you cut across. So it plays a bit like that, except you make giant spheres, and you use those to cut off the space, and you can trap the enemy balls in between the corners of the screen and your other voids. Except the interesting twist here is that by tilting the iPhone, you change the gravity of the world. So the voids, it's basically, they're not really voids, they're balls. It's basically glowing balls.
Yeah, it's because they're just called voids, even though you automatically think that empty black space is like a void, and then you're creating these things on them that are glowing balls. But no, apparently the black shit is just regular stuff, and you're making glowing voids.
Yeah, you tilt the phone to change the gravity, and the balls will fall in that direction, trapping, so you can change how they trap stuff and stuff. Use physics to your advantage. Stuff and stuff. So, that was okay, but basically you're done with it in like a minute.
Right.
And then you're like, well, I understand that. I'm bored of this shit now. Moving on.
I saw you playing some Space Invaders earlier today.
Yes, which is also an iPhone game, but it has been ported to Xbox Live.
Is that an iPhone then?
It's an iPhone game, yeah.
Actually,
which is Space Invaders Infinity Gene, which looks incredibly intriguing, although the demo doesn't seem to give too much away on how the progression works. You basically, it's Space Invaders. You basically Space Invaders. That was a great
You basically Space Invaded them to death.
Yeah, you basically invade the space in which the Space Invaders are invading, and
with a bullet of some kind.
with a bullet, and that causes them to. The bullet invades their bodies and to the point where the space they occupy is turned back into space. Semantics. Yeah, and basically, as you go through, you get power-ups and stuff, and it's all set to crazy sort of modern techno music and stuff. And they're like trying to take the sort of incredibly stylish. It's not really a music game, but it's sort of like the music does build up as you go through and blah.
It does remind you of sort of Res in places.
Yeah, it's Res like wireframe graphics in a lot of places.
But didn't they already do that with Space Invaders? They did that, whatever it was called.
Space Invaders Extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is and Space Invaders Extreme 2. This is another take on it. Basically, as you complete a level, depending on what you did during the level, you gain gene, which then causes you to evolve in different ways. And on certain levels, if you manage to evolve enough, you progress. I think this is how it will work in the main game, because I think it just jumps levels in the demo to give you a flavour of some of how it would evolve to. But depending on how well you do in a stage, determines new abilities that your ship gets. And, like, for instance, standing still to fire faster, or being able to move up and down the screen. Things like that, and you evolve them depending on your performance. And some of the evolutions in the demo were skip to level 5 and things like that. So it's skipping quite a lot of other stages out that I couldn't seem to have access to. So it's not really indicative of how it plays, so I'm not really the best judge here. But it did look pretty cool and pretty fucking mental. And it had an interestingly simple visual style, and the music built up as you went through. And they even incorporated elements of 3D in some of the later levels. So it was... Yeah, it looks intriguing.
So that...
Not sure it's worth 800 points, but intriguing.
Is there a demo of that on the iPhone? Or do you have to pay for it?
I don't think there's a demo. I think it's a straight dive in, but it's only like a quid, the usual rules.
Well, it's the same game as the 800 points on the Live Arcade.
I believe so.
Interesting.
No, it's not that interesting, it's just shit. Fucking Xbox and their high price tags. I've been waiting for Res to come down in price for like years.
Oh, have you not got Res HD?
I've not got Res HD, no. Because I don't really... I don't know, it is worth the points. It's just...
You already own the game.
I own the PS2 version, so it's like, well, if I want to buy it again, I don't really want to spend £6 on buying a game I already have. And
something like that.
I kind of expected it to come up on Deal of the Week, because it's such a classic, and Deal of the Week tends to cover the fairly popular stuff, unless it's just not popular. I don't know. But I thought it was one of the more highly rated games on Live Arcade.
I think it probably is, yeah.
So yeah, that surprises me a little bit if it's not there. Unless I missed it and didn't notice. But I occasionally search just in case out of paranoia online, and no Deal of the Week and Res combinations can be found. Poop. Yeah. Poopsicles.
Anything else?
I'm really struggling, actually. I think of stuff that... I've been playing more Mad World. I suppose we should talk... Or did I talk about this last week? How I'm starting to get the hang of the dodging mechanics. And...
No, I don't think you did.
Well, there was one fucking level that Zach saw me play, which it was a bit ridiculous, because it introduced... basically, you get to the third area. There seems to be 5 main areas. And you get to the third main area, which was called Mad Castle. And... it starts introducing, if you get the motion controls wrong, bad shit happens. So, like, a prompt will come on screen, and if you accidentally do the wrong motion, you'll get hurt. Except it falls into the trap of occasionally the motion detection isn't correct. So you'll do what you think is the motion, but it will detect something else. And you'll get hurt. And you'll probably die. Because there's an enemy that kills you in one hit if you get it wrong.
Right.
And, which is highly annoying because the levels take like quite a while to complete, and all of a sudden your lives are gone, and then it's blah 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 blah. I hate you. You start
blah 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 blah. I hate you.
Well, I was saying blah 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 because I wanted to start going into like some of the commentary, and it's just plain. Yeah,
It is playing exactly that noise.
yeah. It's just so unbelievably fucking rude. Some of it. They drop a C-bomb.
Why? So unnecessary.
Yeah,
I think we did mention this before.
Oh yeah, we did mention this before. Yeah, they do drop a C-bomb, and so there are some places where it's quite funny, like the comment about Scotch is funny, and they're talking about it's like sitting down with a nice glass of Scotch, and someone else in the other commentates like something about Scotch, and it basically devolves into I like Scotch, I like Scotch, I like Scotch, and it just comes out, and it's just like in the middle of the fight, and it's just like what the fuck. It's quite funny.
It doesn't sound funny to me. That does sound.
I like Scotch. Or the phrase I keep actually sticks in my mind and I keep using is like, and remember, kids, don't take drugs, drink booze.
Okay. Oh dear. Yeah, not for kids. That game, is it?
No, not even remotely.
Oh.
It's got the Black Baron though. Punk ass bitch.
He owns you.
He owns it.
That's it. That
You be cracking
XKCD.
off on some motherfucker's dome.
Is that XKCD comment where he says every time he hears anyone say something as something, he mentally moves the hyphen one step to the right. So it's punk ass bitch. Or whenever it's something like that. It's quite funny.
Ass bitch.
You punk ass bitch. It's sort of funny immediately. It's quite good.
Grammar.
You keep saying grammar when it's not really strictly
Well,
grammar.
it's sort of
I suppose
grammar
that
this
is,
time, yeah.
Close.
Yeah, fuck you.
What, me? Why?
That's almost
Grammar
punctuation, I guess. Moving a hyphen.
True.
Was it
Punctuation is part of
punctu-
grammar. You put it in the wrong place, it'd be wrong grammar, wouldn't it?
But is a hyphen actually punctuation?
Ooh.
I don't think so. But who knows?
But do we care?
No,
Not at all.
we do not care.
Well,
not-
we
not
probably should after we took the piss out of the Americans' use of words for quite some time. Maybe a thorough
You,
understanding
me.
of our own... Yeah, me. But maybe a thorough understanding of our own language is more essential before we lay waste
I don't know
to
where you were
aluminum.
going with that sentence. You were laying waste to their language.
I was, yes. I was tearing it apart.
Pillaging.
Sidewalk by aluminum.
Sidewalk by aluminum.
Sidewalk. Oh, by the way, speaking of Americanisms, civilization is spelt with a Z.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know if that's technically right. Is it? How do you spell it in English?
Has there been a case of, like, word rage in America where someone's just gone and murdered Americans with a dictionary?
Well, the thing is
An
that
Oxford dictionary.
well, the thing is that Z is more like Middle English, whereas S is from French. So they're more correct than we are. They're more English than we are.
Well, more German.
Yeah, but that's the origin of the language, isn't it?
Sprechen Sie American.
So, yes, the Z is actually more correct, technically. But, yes.
What is German for American?
I don't fucking know. I can't remember.
Well, have you played Call of Duty or something?
Have you played
it's-
any war game?
Das American!
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
There you go. Das Amerikanen.
American.
Englander, isn't it? For us.
Although probably it's not. You're not probably technically allowed to say Americana any longer because of it being America,
And it also sounds...
generalizing the entire side of the world.
No, American
Right.
sounds like it should be what the language is. And it's not English, it's American, in the same way you have Africa and Afrikaan.
The fuck is that? American is the language. Why not just
yeah, 'cause you
American?
Because you get,
Afrikaan with two A's.
Yeah,
but
'cause- But you get Africans, which are the people, and Afrikaan is the language. Therefore, why not have Americans as their.
But that's not the
But there's
language.
there's not a proper name for their language, so it must be Amerikaan.
Afrikaans is only a language in part of Africa, and it's spelled with a K and 2 A's. It's not like there's Swahili, there's French,
Yeah,
there's
no, I was
English.
using it as an example though, but it is a language. Well, maybe we have to spell Amerikaan with a K and 2 I's and some other fucked up spelling because it's Amerikaan.
Is that your new word for American English, or whatever they technically call it, the dialect that they speak? American.
What is it called? Is it? Yeah, it's just
American
English,
English.
US, isn't it?
American English, and ours is
Yeah.
British English, or Commonwealth English.
British English.
British
British English.
Because I suppose English is English that's spoken in England rather than in Scotland and Wales. And...
Scottish English. Welsh English. Welsh English.
Wish English.
English.
It's just multiple words ending in ish sound funny.
Entertainment.
Ish.
Dramatic pause.
Oh, bish, bash, bosh.
And now we don't even have to ask how much time it is because we can see.
Yeah, I can see.
But I thought I'd point that out in order to be sort of ironic, you know.
This does mean we don't need Mexican Rob.
Or we can have Mexican everyone. Let's all just go.
It's all go there. We've got like 25 minutes, so I should probably talk about the very minimal amount of games I've been playing.
Yeah.
Basically, I haven't had access to anything. But one is on my granddad's. Like my little cousins live near my granddad, like because my aunt and uncle
In the cleavage.
live in the Cleve. Yeah, across Cleve Hill. Yeah, from Cheltenham, and yeah, I was saying like, their aunt, my aunt as well. No, their mother, my aunt. Must have been a bit cheap because she's bought them instead of a Wii or a 360. She's bought them an N64 off eBay. So they're all like 12 or 14, about the same age we were, and they're playing the same games we were. They've got Mario 64.
That's awesome.
They've got Super Smash Brothers, the original, and it's like those games are better than the games on the Wii for like a kid of that age. So they're actually
Except for Super Smash Brothers.
well, they could be playing Brawl or whatever.
Yeah, Brawl. That's the
Yeah.
word I was looking for. The generic word for fight that I couldn't remember.
That's true, but they probably have like 2 Wiimotes or something, which wouldn't be much use for playing.
No, you'd need
You know?
nunchucks on cube controllers.
Exactly, and they probably wouldn't. Whereas, as it is, they've got 3 N64 controllers, and there they are with Samus and and Pikachu, and it's quite interesting to go back and see how limited the roster of characters actually is in the original Super Smash Brothers. There aren't actually that many.
There was still quite a lot for a fighting game.
That's
at the time.
true. That's true.
And for an N64 game.
Yeah, and yeah, so they're playing that, and the other thing, the littlest one, the 8-year-old Aiden, was obsessed with Plants vs Zombies to the point that anytime I saw him, he would just start talking about it. He wouldn't even need an introduction. It would just be like, well, you know the pea shooters in Plants vs Zombies, well, they do this, but then the zombies come, and it's like, yes, I know. But it was really cute. He was like coming up with loads of actually quite good ideas for new plants and things. He's probably going to be a game designer. Yeah. But yeah, so I finished that, by the way, Plants vs Zombies. It has a boss.
It has an ending of some
It has an ending. It has a giant boss, which is sort of funny. And kind of cool. And yes, good game. Although, I haven't found myself, having completed it, going back in and playing a quick game, because it's not as good for that as Peggle, whereas sometimes I'm bored and I just bring up my iPhone. Quick game, Peggle. Whereas Plants vs Zombies, I haven't, like, now I've unlocked the ability to play just one match. I haven't actually used it.
So there's no, like,
You can select a level.
replayable, challengey sort of things, like, you know, on Angry Birds. Admittedly, it's just a one level. Once you complete it, you move on. You don't have to go back style game.
Yeah.
But you have the option of trying to get a better score. Is there no?
Oh, you could get a better score, I expect.
Or you know, are there not just a better score, but you know, a ranking based on that score? For instance, so on Angry Birds, you go for the 3 stars.
I don't think there are any star ratings or anything. That's probably a point, actually. Yeah, you can't really go back and sort of improve on your kind of performance in that way.
You don't have any way to measure how well you actually did compared to what they were expecting you to do.
That's weird because Peggle has a challenge mode, which is really hard in places.
Yeah.
But Plants vs Zombies, I don't think it does. I might go back into it and have a look, but
I still need to get enough money to buy all the unlocks or whatever in that game, because there's actually quite a lot of unlocks, which you have to buy out of the boot of the Crazy Dave's car, which is quite funny.
Crazy Dave!
My horses are crazy! Yeah. That's what he's like, it's Crazy Dave.
Does he sound like he's talking through a pillow?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He sounds exactly like that. So, yes.
At least he can't be as annoying as Science Guy from Civilization Revolution. Mama mine.
Mama mine.
Yep.
Have a clock speed to the double microchip, sir. We're number one in science.
The achievement on Civ 5. The achievement on Civ 5 for exploring the rationalism policy tree, which is some new feature.
Oh.
Policy trees, but there's, like religion and rationalism. But the achievement for the rationalism one is called 88 miles an hour.
Oh, cool. We're going to see some serious shit.
They're releasing Back to the Future, the trilogy, back in the cinema.
Really?
For its 25th anniversary or something.
Shit, we'll have to go and see
Are they just going to show them all in one go?
I think so.
Just stay in the cinema for
that
6
would
hours.
Be amazing. It's like a marathon day.
So cool.
Speaking of which, in films and stuff, Scott Pilgrim totally flopping.
Yeah.
Sad face.
Yeah. Yeah, we were discussing the kind of unfortunate limited audience, which is aimed directly at us.
And nobody else.
And not that many people else.
But then again, so we say that, but Gnome sat over there staring at us under her bear costume. Is
Wait, whoa.
It's more
Just
like
calling her a
rug.
fairy here. That's not good.
well, it looks like a polar. Well, she's wearing a white rug, but it makes it look a bit like a polar bear.
Sheepskin, darling, sheepskin.
Polar bear. Is yeah, and she probably didn't get most of the references in it, but
I don't know. They weren't that. What?
You're really selling me tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're not
You're a bad cook. You make you.
That's great. He was listing the things Rob said, but it just sounded like he was like, "You're a bad cook."
That person that lives there.
Unfortunately, I couldn't think of a succinct way to say you turn your laptop music on when we're trying to record.
Yeah.
To follow up with you're a bad cook.
You're an interrupter or something.
You're a bad cook. You're a music lawsuit waiting to happen. I don't know. Where was I going with that?
What
She's not a gamer.
Yeah.
And she liked the film.
But tell me the obscure references in Scott Pilgrim. What were things that people?
Well, there were
wouldn't
bits
know?
that people wouldn't outrageously pick out, like where the KO sound,
Outrageously.
Oh, the KO sound
where the
effect.
KO sound effect came from, which is apparently from Street Fighter 3.
Right.
Which is a weird choice. The
Yeah.
Street Fighter writing, is correct. Yeah, from Street Fighter 4 style writing, anyway, they used for like the solo round and stuff like that. I suppose people would have got the DDR reference, even though it's not strictly dancing, when the ninja game.
I think actually Scott Pilgrim has less sort of
There's-
direct references to
there's a
individual
lot of
computer
sound-
games than Spaced did, which of course was Edgar Wright, because that had Time Crisis very obviously, Tomb Raider very obviously. It had that
Yeah.
sequence where they were doing Virtua Fighter, Daisy Steiner wins.
Well,
you know,
we get a lot of the sound effect ones, which I don't think a lot of people would have picked
Yeah, but they're
up
just
on.
sound effects.
yeah,
It doesn't matter if you don't get those.
yeah.
I guess, but there's an awful lot of them. Like the start of the game is based on Super Mario World. At the start of the game, start of the film is Super Mario World, and lots of Zelda music. Like, there's a few Sonic sounds, like the rings and the ding,
Yeah, it had the
And,
ding. Yeah,
But that's not
and
actually.
the whole burst into coins thing is from old beat 'em ups, and
that's true.
That might not.
which might not have made any fucking sense to anyone.
Oh, that was really cool.
Sweet coins.
He just picks them up. Oh, I haven't quite got enough for the bus home.
But the Sonic sound effect might not yet actually be a game reference, because that sound effect is apparently actually used in some American cash registers. It's like some cash registers manufacturer just ripped that sound off.
Really?
The ring sound effect for ringing up.
That's weird.
So sometimes in American stores, you're like, I'm hearing rings.
The word, like, when cash registers were mechanical, they would make that noise. as you close,
Oh,
as you close
that,
the
that noise.
as you close the drawer, it goes.
But these are like digital
Playing
just
playing a
ripped
sound
off.
effect.
Surely Sega have some power over that
You
because
think?
it's a freaking cultural licensed sound.
Maybe.
Not because you have to license it off culture.
I think my favourite reference was definitely that Zelda music, because they went and they got the rights to the Zelda music, but they didn't use the Zelda theme, did they? They didn't use which would have been too obvious. Instead, they used the file select / fairy fountain theme, which is quite obscure because you only hear it really
Once.
You hear it at the file select screen, which is like for like half 30 seconds.
You
or
don't even
something.
hear it, you just skip
Yeah.
straight through that.
Exactly, and then sometimes you hear it in the fairy fountains. But like that, although that theme has been in almost every Zelda since like Link to the Past or something, I think.
Yeah.
There's a different version of it, but it's quite an obscure choice, but it fitted the scene really well because he was in like a daze, wasn't he, going to the little things, do 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 do, and it's kind of an instant like.
and it wasn't pulled straight from a game, was it? They vocalized it.
Yeah, they made it. They made a version of it, but I'm glad that they didn't just go for the Zelda theme. They went for one that fitted. And was
So the Zelda thing probably wouldn't have fit anywhere, would it?
Exactly.
In the film, so
Exactly. So it worked really well.
Hey guys, I learned the bass line from Final Fantasy 2.
He did say that. That's so funny.
I'm sure there must have been a few. Well, there were a few subtle ones, weren't they? Like the Triforce being littered around the place, and the bass symbol from Rock Band, and
Oh yeah, the Rock Band bass symbol. That was quite prominent.
there were a few more obvious ones like Space Invader T-shirts, and presumably pulling a giant hammer from your bag might be a reference
Hammer
to
Space.
Hammer Space or
Yeah.
Amy Rose.
Yeah,
Or-
Amy Rose maybe, but did it come? Yeah, did it come from Hammer Space? That
I've got no idea.
They came out of the bag, so I guess so.
yeah. Well, that's more like a bag of holding, though, isn't it? From D&D.
Well,
If you think about it.
maybe. Although that's more like that's like a specific kind of bag rather than just being able to extract things you put in.
A bag of holding is bigger on the inside, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, there are more sort of references in the comic because there's a lot of sort of vocal exchange that has been dropped from the from the original comic dialogue in the film. There's one in particular that's from an old NES game or something, which basically where someone walks up and says something like, "I'll get you, buff." It's like in text, and they say that in the comic in place. There's a lot of random sort of old NES references that even we probably wouldn't pick up on.
I never had a NES. I mean, you.
I didn't have a NES myself, but I basically hijacked my cousins quite regularly. Actually, the game has probably more references than the film. Well, no, maybe not. That's probably not true. It just has different ones, doesn't it?
It has ones that are more suitable to
Like
the
the old-
game environment.
Yeah, like the old winners don't use drugs logo, except veganized. It's like winners don't eat meat.
Is Scott Pilgrim a vegetarian?
No,
Which character was
the
then?
third Evil X, the vegan.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and the vegan police.
Oh yeah, you're not really vegan. That was awesome.
What is it? Jello's not vegan. It's got gelatin in it.
Genius.
Bitch. They did follow it up with bitch. It's fine. I'm not just saying that out of context. I'm not just having bitch Tourette's. Bitch. Yeah, there are a few others. Like there's stuff, and
Stuff and things.
Other stuff. Well, Rainbow Road was quite a good one from the game. That's not relevant to the film.
That was meant to be Rainbow Road, was it?
Well, I think so.
Well, it's a road that it's rainbow coloured, I mean.
Yeah.
What else can it be? And there's a striking similarity in the barriers to how they look in the Mario Kart games.
Yeah, I guess.
Pew, pew. And there's pipe. The stills as leave the game animation is to jump in a big green pipe
And Kim's is the Kirby style.
Oh, and Kim's is the Kirby style, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Showing
Scott's
off on
is
the curves.
basically Mega Man
Yeah.
disappear into a pillar of light thing.
I don't know what Ramona's is referencing, because she jumps into her own bag and then that flies off.
That's just cool.
I suppose that's the bag of holding, isn't it, again?
It's a reference to something, I'm sure.
Because, like, hammer space is technically where,
Actually,
like,
that might be-
cartoon characters get hammers just from behind their backs, isn't
Yeah.
it? They don't have a bag.
Or
Or
just
anything.
out
It
of
just sort of
nowhere.
appears, yeah.
I didn't question it before, but what the fuck is... Seriously, where does hammer space come from?
Hammer space
It's
is
a
another.
generic
It's
term.
another dimension where cartoon characters can pull hammers out of. So there's the 3 normal dimensions, and then there's also hammer space where you can pull hammers out of from behind your back.
Naturally.
I think that bag thing might be a reference to, like, well, there's a bit of, there's maybe too obscure for it to be the actual answer, but it's like Felix the Cat
Yeah.
had a game as well, where his bag turns into shit, and he had a habit of jumping into it.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, there's the luggage from Discworld, isn't there?
You don't want to jump into that, though.
It's that bigger on the inside.
Not really. It does. The inside changes,
Right.
so it's like you put stuff in it, and then when you open it again, it's just empty. But it's not bigger. It's just like it only has that same amount of volume. It's just a different volume.
Right. So it's like desktop spaces.
Yeah.
It's like I'll switch to another one. Mysterious.
I did think, like, when Lucas Lee was going down the rails in Scott Pilgrim... On the rails!
He's at home on the rails.
No, well, that wasn't an immediate reference,
No.
admittedly, but the speedometer in the top corner did look awfully lot like F-Zero's style.
Hmm.
You know,
I didn't even
how
see that.
it goes into the panels. You haven't seen the film?
No, I meant it's not in the game though.
No, it's not in the game.
Oh,
It
it's
should
a
have
great
been.
film.
Well, it's only a short-ass rail in the game rather than an epically long one,
That's
as
true.
it is in the film.
Which makes
It's about 4 foot.
which makes the bit in the game make slightly less sense.
Yeah.
Which is like,
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, it's like you destroyed the boss by getting him to
grind and incredibly
guys
short
are
rail.
really short rail.
Although you were right, the pause music is a thing from Battletoads.
No, I thought so.
Yes, you're right about that.
Hmm.
Screw Attack recently voted it the hardest NES game ever.
Battletoads.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if you see in any of Angry Video Game Nerd, you know there are some ones that are hard just by being so crap that you just can't make the
Yeah,
jumps.
they specifically said they didn't count those.
Oh, right,
Like
okay.
games that are crap. Hard because they're shit.
Was that Action 52 or whatever? Is it?
That-
Cheetah Man.
The Cheetah Man game looks like something we would have made on Games Factory. It looks like that terrible platforming movement.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Apart from instead of the jumping in midair bug that Cheetah Man had, we would have had the sticking to the
Ceiling,
ceiling.
right,
yeah, 'cause
The
that-
Games Factory platform movement bug.
That was pretty common, wasn't it?
They still haven't made a better platform movement, I don't think.
I tried to abuse that, didn't I, in my blob platformer?
Oh,
Yeah, to
we
make it a
stuck-
mechanic of the game.
Yeah.
That was cool. That blob thing was cool.
Apart from your blob, it's like I made a blob game which was a different idea, but your blob was like huge.
Yeah.
It was like it was a really weird looking character because it's like a huge red oval and it had these tiny little eyes and legs.
It was like Cool Spot had like grown massively.
Yeah.
Wasn't
It
it?
was fat spot.
It was like donut spots.
Yeah, donut spot. Oh, seriously, if you haven't done it already, if you finished Uncharted 2, unlock Donut Drake. It's the funniest fucking thing we've seen in a while.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
It makes Drake super fat and lowers his voice.
Yeah, so he's just like this big chub guy, but he's still doing all the actions and crazy stuff. It just looks hilarious.
And then play the Urban Warfare level, so when you jump on signs and they break, it looks more like he's just super
Yeah,
fat.
as the world is disintegrating around him, it looks decidedly more likely because he's huge.
He's just using his weight to crush the environment.
Yeah, there was the classic takedown from behind that looked hilarious when Donut Drake jumped on the dude. It's like smother, lamb smother.
We're about coming to the end of this, aren't we? Towards the end.
Yeah, pretty
Started
much.
saying-
Everybody lean forward and get louder. Yeah.
Yes, we're all going to get louder. So,
Hello.
one other game I did play was we're about to watch, and these guys haven't seen The Room with Tommy Wiseau, but I'm going to educate them. If you don't know, it's
one of the worst films ever made, but it's so bad that it's consistently funny all the way through.
Wizzo for Shizzo.
Yes, it's super awesome. So watch it if you have already seen it, then go on Newgrounds. And the guy who founded Newgrounds has spent a lot of time and love and effort to make a Flash adventure game based on the film The Room, which works surprisingly well. It follows the story, even fills in some bits that you don't like. Some of the ridiculous loose plot threads actually ties them up, like what happens to the guy who disappears halfway through the film and only to be replaced with another actor in the final scenes. Like, it's because the guy obviously got pissed off and he's like, I can't be bothered to do this anymore. So Tommy Wiseau's like, oh, you could be this other character who fills in as that guy's role. Anyway, he gets run over by a car in the game, so you get to see what happens to him by the drug dealer guy. Anyway, play that. Go on Newgrounds and play that if you've seen The Room. And if you haven't seen The Room, go watch it. It is awesome.
For all the wrong reasons. I'm especially looking forward to the awkwardly long sex scenes you described.
Yeah, there's about 3 of them, and they're just so excruciating. And as I was saying, the third one has like repeated footage from the first one, I think.
Does it have 70s porn music?
Yeah, it has really bad music all the way
Sweet.
through. Yeah. I think it has porn music. No, it's not quite that. No, it's like really cheesy romantic sort of music. It's just every... It'll be worse than that. I believe me. We could just mic you up right now and it would be better than the score for the actual film. Oh, God. But yes, The Room, the Flash game.
And then there's the cut.
That
does sound like...
from?
I don't know.
It's from Homestar.
Is it? Oh yeah, it is.
It's the Dangerous.
Oh, Dangerous. Dangerous 2. What the hell has happened to
Who knows?
the brothers chaps?
They died or something.
No.
It's the internet. That's the default response.
I think one of them had a baby or something.
Who, what, where?
That makes
The
more
brothers
sense.
chaps are the guys who make Homestar Runner,
Ah.
and along with the girl who does the voice of.
The default response for any website where it hasn't updated for several months is whoever was running
They
it
died. Oh yeah, they died.
They died.
No, they're still alive and selling merchandise, just not making any funky cartoons.
Should we spend the last 4 minutes of our experimentation idea? Think of a term that in gaming that no might not know the answer of what it means, and see what we come up with.
If you
What-
know
what-
this
what
isn't
it
going to
would
work
mean.
because now you've put us on the spot to think of a word and we're just going to come up with stupid shit.
So I asked, what's a gib? Right.
Do you know what a gib is?
Alternative to a gimp.
It's like a gimp. Okay. So how would it be different from a gimp?
It's a bit crap.
It's like a crap
Crap. Again.
A gimp who is crap at their job is a gib.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that worked.
Northern.
Well, that worked quite well.
A northern crap gimp is a gib.
Ew.
Bring out the gib. The gib sleeping.
Gimp, like,
Like,
What's the release word?
bring out gimp. Bring out gimp.
pals.
No, sorry, gib. It's gib. Anyway, any
I'm
other?
going to gib.
Did you think of any other gaming-related terms?
See, this is working.
MVP. What does MVP stand for?
That's not even a gaming thing, really.
no,
is it?
not really, but it's...
It's American sports thing.
New vocational.
No, MVP.
Oh. Motion voice.
Motion
Motion
voice
voice
protocol.
protocol. There we go. There's our answer
Three
there.
tricky words.
It's most valuable player.
It's from American football. That's
Why
what
don't
it
you
is.
just give each other gold stars?
You didn't call it most valuable.
Well, what's a frag?
Yeah,
A frag.
Frag.
has
F-R-A-G.
multiple meanings, but yes. Pick one.
I suppose it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, because the actual meaning is, you know,
Is it a shortening?
No.
No, it's
Well,
not.
yeah, it is.
it is
Oh, is
one
it?
of the meanings.
One of the meanings is a shortening, one of them isn't.
Fragment. Or...
Yeah, that is the shortening. Yeah, one of the meanings is a frag is the shortening of fragmentation grenade.
Oh, frag. That's the modern meaning of frag, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's or
Yeah, but it's not because it's related to the other meaning, isn't it?
well,
That urban myth.
Because in the
If it
olden
actually
days,
happened.
a frag meant a kill in a game. Like if you killed another player, you scored one frag in Quake. But
Yeah.
now that's
old hat.
But the old urban myth, which may or may not have happened, where that word originated from, in like Vietnam, where if you disagreed with your commanding officer, you stuck a frag grenade in and killed them.
Okay. Shall we all go over there and shout 1 minute?
I think
I'll do it because I'm nearest.
Okay. We could turn around and just shout at the wall.
1 minute!
1 minute!
And now we all have to come sit down again.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed our first ever all-in-one-room podcast of Doom.
Man, I can't believe you remembered to call it that.
The Doom Room.
In the Doom Room. And normal service shall be resumed shortly. I shall be away again.
Theoretically.
And we'll all be on the TeamSpeak again, and I'll actually be able to play some games. So
Maybe we should do another one of these in short succession, like, maybe not in a few days, but after Dan has had a chance to rape my PS3.
Yeah, not literally. No.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
It's a slot loader, not a slut loader.
In fact, I'm not going to even use that as an analogy or a euphemism. Whatever it is. So on that note,
On
that note, on the rape of PS3s, we are about to end. Goodbye from me.
Oh, like 6 seconds ago. Let's do a countdown. Oh wait, too late. I talked
Bye.
over it.